Well, it's not very often it comes off here. I know. I thought, who is that guy?
According to my computer, it is now 6:30. So we'd like to welcome everybody out to City Council. We have the recording on. Okay, great. We will go ahead and start with an invocation by Councilmember Terry, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Check.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are indeed grateful for the opportunity we have to be here tonight and to discuss the issues here in West Rock. Grateful for the opportunity we have to have the privilege of serving the residents and to hearing from them. Please help us to feed the city in the best way possible. Please be with all those that are on the roads this next day or so, that new snow, that won't cause any accidents. Please be with our police and first responders, that the weather won't cause any difficulties for them. Grateful for the opportunities that are ours, and in Jesus Christ, amen.
Please stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Keith, welcome. Appreciate you being here tonight. Thanks for the invocation, Matt, and Julie, thanks for the pledge of allegiance. Let's move on to item number 2, consideration to approve the minutes. I think we have 2 sets of minutes, one for our regular meeting and then one for January 28th, our special session. I'll call for a motion if there's no corrections or changes.
I move we approve all set of minutes as presented.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor, Wallace?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Item number 3, approval of cash disbursements, and we have 2, right? Are they both ratifications or just one?
Hey, I thought we said one. We just have one.
We just have one.
It's approval.
Okay. So I'll call for approval if there's no questions on the expenses from January 19th to February 1st.
Hey, so moved. For what?
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote now.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
For those that would like to address the council, if they have any concerns, we'll now go to our first open session of the meeting. If there's anyone that would like to come forward, state your name and address for the record. Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
like to say, the railroad crossing over there.
Okay, I'm turned down.
So did you enjoy your tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a number of complaints on that.
I wonder if that.
No, poor Pedro, poor Rasta. And I just, and then watch one truck run over there.
Okay. If there's there's not anything else, then let's go to, item number 5. Mayor Rob? How are you tonight?
I'm wonderful, how are you?
Good.
So, just for the report for last month, we appreciate those of you that came to our Saturday conference, and definitely Christian direction, it was amazing. And we hope you enjoyed yourself as much as we did, and we really appreciate that. And this month, at our work meeting yesterday, we started pulling Easter eggs. We look forward to that every year.
Never too early.
So Easter tables, we have 3 work meetings, including yesterday to prepare. And this month, we would like our activities to be an appreciation dinner for the mayor and council members of the classes.
Do we have a date on that?
We were thinking Friday, the 15th, and the 22nd.
The 15th works better for me.
You said that's this month?
Yes.
Anybody have a preference?
Call this as Valentine's Day.
Yes, sure.
You don't need
Sure you're
to
right,
talk
don't
about-
mind at all.
That's the crystal, yeah.
There you go.
So the 15th?
Okay, perfect. What time would you like this? Wherever. To 6? Okay.
Are you gonna be here?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Okay, I got it on my calendar.
Perfect, so excited. So next month, we will continue preparing for Easter and Faith meeting. There will not be a service activity because this is the Utah State Conference, March 7th through 9th and March 14th through the 16th. And we have 12 youth representing which profit each conference. We're excited. Any questions?
How did you think, you were at the luncheon with the legislators?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Good, we're cool. This is interesting to see.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking time out and coming and enjoying the governor's state address.
The junior
The
version.
junior version. The war. Okay, any questions for the mayor? Okay, thank you so much for everything you do. Okay. Item number 6, recognition of Johnny Phillip for 5 years of service. Now, he's actually been with the city for 7 years. That's correct. And so that means he only has to wait 3 more years for his 10-year service, right? So that's good. So Johnny, can you and April come up? So it's a plaque that, that just appreciates John's for his service for the last 7 years. It says 5 years of service. And then here's a pen and pencil set. So, anyway, I think the council would probably want to shake your hands and thank you for lending Johnny to us for all those years. Okay. Thank you.
I think we should clap. We've got-
Well, that's right.
I know, right? Next time. And you're all excited about her story. I got you.
Okay, so item number 7 on the agenda, consideration to purchase
I can lead out on that, and then I'll have the chief jump in. Back in, the latter part of September, October, Adam Sloan and myself, got with Bob Hugo from Bancorp, to start the process for the lease of the 4 vehicles that we had in the budget. And, a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Hugo called, the chief and I, and indicated that Ford had underbuilt their Explorers, and they would not be able to, deliver those probably until a year from now. And so I had a discussion with Chief Schultz saying, well, what's our options? And, Chief Schultz felt very strongly that rather than lease vehicles, he'd prefer to purchase. So I've had some discussions with the department, and I guess my preference is to purchase as well. And, I guess the chief and I are a little bit more aligned than the previous chief. And so we talked about it, and, we looked at the budget and, to see if there's ways that we could, increase that 40,000 so we could go ahead and purchase those 4 vehicles. We feel that we need to do that. You've got one that's, what, over 100,000?
Yeah, about 119.
And what happened is during the Great Recession, we had to cut back on our vehicle purchases just to survive. And so we're kind of playing catch up now, and would really like to get in the rotation where we're replacing the vehicles as they're needed. Because once you get up to that type of mileage, particularly on patrol vehicles, then our maintenance costs go up, and you can see in our budget adjustment, we had to adjust some of those areas. So we'd like to get those mileage down. So what we're proposing is, we'll use the 40,000 that was budgeted for the lease of the vehicles. In the budget, there was $200,000 to do remodel downstairs, and a large portion of that was to kick the building out and increase the patrol area. And Chief Schultz and I discussed that and felt that we don't really need to do that at this time, plus that portion would be very expensive. We'd prefer to just go down and do some work in the basement and adjust the things, that we needed to make it so we get the court there and get those done. And so we figured we could remove 56,000 from that use for the vehicles. And then, looking at the projection of the sales tax, we're gonna have a surplus there over what we budgeted, so we take 80,000, and that would be 176,000. Now, one thing I've talked with Chief Schultz is that I put in there $10,000 for equipment. I'm not sure if we need that amount. Maybe you can address that.
That's pretty close. I think we can work with a couple of the, vendors and get it down around 8,000, 7,500. Because we can take radios out of the old cars and use them. We can probably use the sirens as well. Some of the lights may not work or be, functioning. So, yeah, we will definitely work with whatever equipment we have to save a little bit of money.
I like that, on the idea of like, because I had heard that with the lease, we were putting a mileage limit, and then, you know, in speaking with officers, saying how many miles they put on a month, that we could possibly make going over those mileage, the mileage in a year, and that that's very expensive.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
And the chief had,
concerned.
excuse me,
No, go ahead.
the chief is having experience, maybe you can just share what your issue is with the leases.
Well, with the lease, we can buy the state contracted vehicles at the same price the leasing company does. So then they're making their money on the back end and on the equipment. They charge us more to have it installed. We can do that. It's just, I think, a better option. And then when you do go over, previously, a department I worked for, it was like $1.50 a mile, very expensive. So we would change vehicles around. Somebody that lives close would change it, somebody that lives a little farther. It was just not a good use.
Well, I heard, like West Bound will face that, so their officers just had to park, they couldn't be patrolling.
Yep, we don't wanna do that,
Yeah.
so. You want me to go ahead, Gary?
Sure, yeah, you add on.
So what I did is I went to local dealer, Murdoch Chevrolet, and I got a bid for their state price, and I told them I was going to the Ford dealer too, so they gave me their best price. A Chevy pickup is $35,100, and then the price for a Ford is $33,851 at Bountiful Ford, outside the city. I prefer to go to the city dealership and support them. Depends on the council though, that extra $1,250 comes out to about $5,000. So that's the equipment for one of them almost. So if we wanna save that to go with the Ford, we can, or we can support the vehicles, the Chevy, they're very comfortable as far as, you know, warranties and how they stand up and resale and all that stuff.
How about room, like, I'm assuming, are, one of the trucks we're replacing the K-9 truck?
Both the K-9 trucks have, over 100,000, so
So
yeah.
for the dog, you know,
The cages,
thank you,
yeah,
like security, not security.
right,
Their cage in the room, like Ranger's pretty big, you know, is he gonna fit in a Ford Explorer or?
No, not a Ford, pickup,
Oh,
F-150.
the Ford pickup,
Yeah,
okay,
with the
it
crew.
didn't specify which,
Oh, right, we can do the pickup with the
it
crew,
said
yeah.
Explorer, so I just assumed we were
Yeah.
gonna buy Explorer.
The underpass, so they don't have it, so it moves it.
So we're going to pick up truck,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Chevy, so myself.
Okay.
So is performance Ford, when are they gonna be open? They've got their maintenance, right?
This might be a year before
But
that.
it's still the same,
It's a couple, yeah.
and we just find all the paperwork down there on the front.
Yes, sir.
Access and everything. Give them a big spot. I mean,
We're not gonna give ourselves any tax sales tax.
No, but next, yeah.
Right, there's no sales tax, there's no registration fee and all that, it's all,
Yeah.
so.
So
Big
with,
thing dealership.
with that, I mean, you think these are F-150s, are they?
Yes,
The Ford,
yes,
and then the Chevys are the
the
Silverado?
1,500, yes, correct, half ton.
And the resale, you think equivalent with those two?
I think so, I haven't had an experience with the Chevy for about 10 years, we've been doing Fords, but I don't know.
Chevy pulls their value.
They do, and the one experience we did have is with the Ford aluminum body, you hit a pole and it just meshes and crinkles and it's pretty expensive to repair compared to a metal frame, but they do get better gas mileage, so kind of a trade-off there. The Ford F-150s are getting 20 miles a gallon, compared to our Explorers, they're getting 13, so we'll get a little better mileage.
And the Fords come standard now, heated rear bumper, you heard that, right?
No.
So when they break down, you keep your hands warm.
So there you go.
I'm like, wow, why would you need to be a bumper, whatever, there's a lot of things. I also know Fords are more expensive to fix. Anything that needs to be fixed on Ford, you have to take the engine out.
Right, and 36,000 miles in 3 years is covered, bumper to bumper, so we wouldn't have any repairs in the beginning, but after that, we wouldn't maybe have to.
So I think in the long run, we'll save money by going Chevy.
And we're looking at the rotation schedule as well, right? Bringing 4 new ones and then,
Yeah,
so we start rolling.
And how long you rotate them? How many miles traditionally do these vehicles get per year? You know?
on average, it's about, it's 18 to 20. Yeah, 20 is
So
about, yeah.
you're looking at about, about 80.
80, we're thinking 80, yeah. Yeah.
I know there's
And they'll
some-
still have a little value, they won't have a lot of value at 8,000, but they still have some.
They get quite a bit.
Much more than this Dodge Ram will have with 120.
And these are four-wheel drive.
Correct.
Also, to prevent the K-9s from overheating, are we looking into getting that equipment that alarms the dog blood?
I was told that we got that in the ones we have, and so we would move it.
Okay,
The cages won't fit, and so we're gonna maybe, approach some donors and try to pay for those again,
okay,
if we can get that, I think we can.
yeah, okay.
So I got a question from someone in the audience who works on cars quite a bit, as a fleet manager. Do you have a preference?
Typically, the maintenance on the Chevrolets are quite a bit less. They're pretty comparable anymore, but the aluminum body that you were talking about, Chief, is a fairly hot topic. They are much harder to fix, assuming that somebody's gonna run into a pole, we're assuming they won't. But obviously, things can happen, so general maintenance overall, the Chevrolets cost less to maintain.
Well, we hope we don't have any accidents, that would be.
I know, right? But things happen.
Make with cross safe again, but, we had an officer that in, where I worked before, hit the the pole going to the gas station, and it creates like a pop can, and it was $5,900, so it is pretty expensive, that aluminum. So that's another Chevy plus, I think.
So your recommendation is we go with the Ford then, because of the cost savings?
No, I'm saying either one. I would love to support the local dealer in Woods Cross City, to be honest, but it is gonna cost us about $4,900 more.
I think we'll make up for
But
that.
we will make up for it maybe on the tail end, and in retail too,
Right,
I think.
I do too.
I would go with the,
I think.
I'd go with the Chevy. I'd rather affordable work, and I don't think it's that comfortable.
The one thing as well, is this the way, or if we get on the books for next year, we'll go back to the Explorer? What's the difference in cost between an Explorer and a truck?
About $4,900 to $5,000 more for a truck. But I think the Ford Explorers that are the police package, there's almost zero retail. They don't have carpet, they don't have a cloth seat in the back, it's all plastic. They have the big console in the middle. Nobody really wants to buy those, but police departments, and if they have 180 to 100,000 miles, it's pretty tough to sell those. So I think we'd be better off just doing, like, getting from the dealer a truck and then resell them for 5, 6, 7,000, when they have 80,000 miles, where would we have them? Personally.
Probably more.
More maybe, and I told, Gary, we don't wanna be a used car lot, because they went through that years ago, but I still think if we're doing 4 a year, we can make that happen, or trade it in, we can trade it in.
Exactly.
But
Are we doing all trucks, that is what I'm hearing?
And we just we're replacing 4 trucks in the Explorer out there that has, the high mileage too. So I don't think we have to go for.
Is there an
trucks all
issue
the
with
time.
transportation between sedans and trucks? Transporting.
Well, for the K-9 officers, yes, they have to have a pickup.
Right.
No, we can look at doing cars next time too. That, you
They're
know,
still the same amount of room.
They're the four-door trucks,
Yeah,
so
ask for
they've got the
going
same
up to
capacity.
oh, right, yeah, there's a 4-door crew cab truck, they'll hold 5. They have that center console in the middle, so 2 up front, 3 in the back.
If we did go with the sedan, what is the fleet vehicle choice today?
They don't do sedans.
The
Well,
Ford
or-
Interceptor still does the sedan, yeah.
But they kind of frown on that. It's more they want 4-wheel drive for the winter.
Yeah, so those have to be around in the winter and.
You know, I'm an old mayor, I've been doing this 20 years, and I've heard arguments back and forth, depending on the one cars. So, I mean, it really does change, I mean, whether it's personally going to figure out, but, you know.
We did have somebody that suggested focuses when you.
We did have a Prius, we had a Prius for a while. We did have a Prius for a while.
We wanted to go with find out the focus.
Well, let's go ahead and call for a motion then, so, anyone would like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the 4 vehicles?
Do we want
And
to,
specify which one you prefer?
I'll make a motion that we approve to buy 4 new vehicles and make them the Chevy
From Murdoch.
from Murdoch.
I'll second.
All in favor, roll call vote now. Andy?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Okay.
when I support you, chief, that you want, I mean, that's different than price.
Okay.
I guess, okay, but it should get more out of it.
Yeah,
Get 5,000 man.
it'll be
Back
better,
in.
absolutely. Awesome.
Okay,
Well, have fun shopping for your colors, black.
So, I have a question on that. Is it meant that the police cars are trying to be hidden?
Yes,
Does it need to be hidden?
yes.
I don't
For
like.
officer safety, it's harder to see them than
For
when.
officers.
No, really, if you think about it, a lot of police officers are attacked and targeted, and by being in a one solid.
We kind of went to black and white for a while because we're on the presence on the street.
Right, and I can't tell, and I always feel like, hey, they're just hiding it so nobody can tell it's the police, because it says Woods Cross Police on there.
It's easier to catch a speeding.
You're right. So, if
So
we're
now, are
wanting
you
to
talking
press
about
it.
experience,
No,
or?
unfortunately
Oh,
not.
no, the four is down in Redwood, the other is working on the.
But I noticed they were all out on the
Two red and two blue.
I was just curious, if, like, I don't like how camouflaged they are. I think if it's a police car, you should know it's a police
Black
car.
and white.
I like it black, when you know it's a police car. I mean, and for presence around town, you want it to know if the police are patrolling. That truck, that black truck, you never have, and then it's police are.
No, I like, it is certainly more visible to our residents, and they feel, I feel there's some comfort level to be with that. If you're seeing the black and white, and they're patrolling in the area, you'll pick it out.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we have a huge problem. I think, the detectives probably have a need, access to the vehicle to try to control them.
Quite conscious appreciation.
Yeah.
The Ford is,
Anyway, that's just.
Well, and I am not, if the council wants, I'm not opposed to the black and white. What they do is get a black truck, and they wrap the doors in a white, wrap. About $700, and then you put police on it and a badge or whatever it's designed.
I don't care if they're all black, if you have to write police anyway.
Well, I'm just saying, rather than paint them white. and have
Oh, I
them
agree with that.
Then they're all.
But you gotta put the stickers on to say it's a police car, do they have to be charcoal gray, or could they be white, would that look tacky? I don't know.
No, they could be white, they could be all black and white, we can do whatever.
I don't wanna spend a whole lot of extra money, but if you had to put the stickers on there that say Woodscraft Police,
Right, anyway.
my preference would be they're white and people know. People might disagree, but I think you need to know the police are there in presence.
I think,
I'll leave that to you.
I think we need to continue to be trendsetters,
I think
so
the
whatever,
light-
we're set the
light
standard,
yellow.
and the other departments around us, we need to do
Yeah,
so.
okay.
I think the lights, but it's the police.
And when they're off, you can't see.
they're all very low profile.
That's right.
Yeah, it is.
So you gotta put down the truck,
Say again, sorry.
you gotta put down the front visors.
No, they're built in
They're
on
built
the
in.
top. Sure, and the reason for that too is you don't put a hole in the roof. If you put a light bar on, you have to put a small hole in the roof to get the wire through. Then when you sell it, you fill it full of goop and they say that's not gonna leak, but we don't know.
Yeah.
It probably might leak. And it's cheaper. The ones with visor lights are cheaper than the light bar.
With the LEDs, they light. up
LED lights
anyway.
go as well, yeah,
So it doesn't matter.
yeah, that works.
Anyway, that's what you did.
Okay,
Okay.
we appreciate it. Let's move on to item number 8 then on the agenda, review of public works facility construction costs and timeline, Gary.
Okay, yeah, we'll get, Scott's actually in Washington DC,
It's on top of Washington Monument.
we're gonna phone him. Back in, November, first part of November, we had this on the agenda to discuss the cost of the building. At that time, we reported that it was over by close to $300,000. And, we discussed it, and actually, you asked me to go and see if I could negotiate it down. And unfortunately, tonight it's actually more than that, because it's over the 2 months, we've got a firmer grasp of what the, costs are. And I think maybe the best thing to do is put up, the cost run over analysis, so that you can see exactly, where we're at.
Scott, are you there?
Yeah. Okay, so Scott's here, good. The budget, when we approved this, was, just a little over $7.5 million. We're now at, the final project cost, as we put everything together, is right at 8. So you've got a $466,000 override. And I've broken it down with the contractor with $372,000, the big portion of it, and we'll delve into that a little bit. The design was $104,000, the building permit, when the contractor put that in there, they put $9,000 and actually $65,000. That was way under what it cost to review and do all the plan checks on the building. We had some miscellaneous costs that were budgeted, and actually that one was under. So that's how you come up with the, total amount. And then if you look, under the spend breakdown, you had $187,000 in change orders, means that the change, we had to, put some money in for winter conditions, because we know it was winter months, which we weren't anticipating. And then the big item there is general conditions, the cost that we have to pay out for each month that they're on the site, for people there, equipment, et cetera, et cetera. And then we had a contingency of $176,000 in the building, so the balance, for example, $372,000. So I've asked all of the individuals involved, Scott here, we've got Kelly from Ascent, we got Jim from Think, and Greg from JUB. So I'd like to maybe just give each of them a few minutes to talk, because as I put in my report, the main reason this thing really went over is that we estimated that we'd be into a 219 days, but the construction was 450 days. So maybe, Kelly, I'll let you maybe come up front. Okay, be okay?
Yes, absolutely.
And let me tell us which company you're with.
And what is time construction? Gary, were you able to distribute the schedule that
Yeah,
they did, so
they have, in fact, I can put it up here.
So I don't know if any of you've had a chance to review that schedule, and if you've had any questions right off that you want to talk about, if you want me to run through some of those main bullet points that I put with that schedule. Do you want me to start just by touching on those bullet points? Okay.
Well, I do have some questions, but I'd like to hear your explanation.
Okay,
Maybe you'll
absolutely.
answer my questions.
Yeah, perfect. So I put this original schedule together, and then I hit some of the main bullet points that pushed us longer than that duration that we were expecting. So, the way that they're labeled, if you look at that ID number 1, was when we were looking to get an early site package. So in our original proposal, we planned on about 12 weeks to get to construction documents for this. And then to get to an early site package to allow us to get started. And it took us an additional about 4 months to get to that point, to get through design development, schematic design, and then different percentages of construction documents. And then.
What was the reason for that delay? Was it the architect, or was it the?
No, I think that was a remembrance. We started off with an original design that we had some basic elevations of the building in our intent, and then just working through with Scott and with Greg and with Jim, trying to get all of the wish list, they would call it a wish list of what the city needed in this building. And we went through different renditions of the budget, and each time those were coming in over the budget we had. So we have to go back and go through that budget again and try to figure out where we can cut costs so Scott and Gary could get everything they wanted out of this building and needed to make it function for them. So I think that just took longer than any of us anticipated to try to wrangle that into the first budget. So I don't think there's any one individual party there that was delayed that.
Combination of.
Yeah, it's back and forth, with first we started meeting bi-weekly, and then I think we determined that we needed to get together more and try to get this tightened up, so we started meeting weekly at that point to try to narrow it down. And then at that point, we got to where we felt we were comfortable with the budget, so we got an early release package. And we worked with Scott and the city, and we released a site package that allowed us to start the site cuts and fills. And we determined through that phase that we needed geopiers because of the groundwater issues here at West Cross. So we started the geopiers and started excavating footings. And then that came along with the early site package. And then before I get to that putting the foundation, we had utilities. And there's always things that, as hard as anybody would like to be able to know exactly what's in the ground, the elevations that they have. We ran into some North Salt Lake water line issues, some Weaver Basin water line issues, and things that we had to adjust that took longer on site and cost more money as well. Going down to ID number 7 with our putting the foundation package, when we got that package, Jim can probably speak to this a little bit too. VHB kind of called this building Frankenstein, and the reason that, whatever, we basically used all types of building construction. We had CMU, we had metal stud walls, we had wood framing, and then we had pre-engineered buildings. And so trying to bring all of those elements together, working through this footing and foundation package, we were going back and forth with the engineers, with VHB on the structural side, and then Barco Pruden, the pre-engineered metal building supplier, trying to get the reactions and calculations together on that. And that delayed design of the structural package. So we got to a point where we were able to do footings but we couldn't complete the foundation walls and the piers until we were able to tighten up that design. And so we're just waiting on that to come back, and then after we got that design, we found out that we needed to add grade beams to tie the footings together, because of some of the reactions that came from that design effort. And so some of the spot footings were enlarged, grade beams were added, and so that took added time on putting the foundation. And then, until that design was complete, the foundation walls couldn't be completed because of the CMU design and the reaction to that building and how they tied together as well. And then if we go down to ID number 14 and 15, we got to a condition where the wood framing, the metal stud framing, and the steel structure all tied together. And it was just a unique condition. And it took a lot of time to find some specialized hangers and to get engineers on site and to resolve that issue. And that was a big delay in that area. And along that same time, we added a few other things to the building. You know, we put some double doors in, multi-purpose room to make that room more functioning for the public as well. And, you know, we had some unique conditions on site that were even a little bit hard too, and Jim can speak to this as well a little bit, that some of the structural columns and beams in the building were on a pitch following the rake of the roof and needed to be field verified. So we had to get the construction at a certain standpoint to be able to make those field verifications to ensure that those beams were on the same plane and pitch of the roof. So, going down to the pre-engineered structure, I already talked about that a little bit, just to touch some more. It was a unique building where you know, some of the roof was bearing on CMU walls, other was bearing on structure, some of it was bearing on the wood framing and metal studs as well. And just trying to tighten up that design and get all those conditions to work together. Exterior finishes, I know that, you know, Scott and Gary have a lot of heartburn and heartache with this one. Our exterior finish guy he was a problem child for us. And just trying to get him to get adequate manpower there. He was there constantly on the site, but just trying to find him additional resources and supplemental help was proven to be a challenge. So he was on site for an extended amount of time as well. And then the last one was the cabinet and millwork. I mean, we went back and forth quite a bit on that recession counter as you first come in, making changes there. You know, a lot of the colors that we picked were discontinued colors, and went back and forth there a little bit as well.
Okay, any questions?
I just had a question on, like cabinets and, you know, different things, there's the change orders. Are we paying for change orders when supplies are discontinued by the manufacturer?
No, none of the change orders were caused by color changes.
Or just because something wasn't available?
No, none of the change orders reflected because material is not available or discontinued colors. More in changes to design and redesigning that area.
So of the 500,000 that we went over, how much of that was because it just dragged on, and how much was it because by the time we budgeted this, materials have gone up in price?
You know, I don't think any of it was caused by an increase in materials. Most of that was all secured and contracted in and locked in. So none of what we're paying is by tariffs or increased material prices. I mean, that was some of the things that we did do a great job on. All of the HVAC equipment, all of the structural steel, all of those items were already pre-purchased, so that we didn't experience it.
So who's responsible for bidding out the cost of the building permit? Because that's quite a spread in the cost.
See, and that, honestly, I think that went back and forth quite a bit, because we had discussions on what to do with that permit, and what price to put in there, and what price Woods Cross was actually going to be charged for the permit for us. And so, I don't know that I have a good explanation of that, but I know that we did discuss it early on, and the $9,000 was the number we came to put in the budget. But I don't know if I have a good answer of why it was so far off.
That's probably as much our mistake as yours. We should have looked at that much closer and realized that it was going to be more. Now, part of that comes, you know, all that comes into the city, but a big portion of that goes out to our contractors. So I'd say probably, 80% of it went to enforcement. Yeah. So part of it came back to us, but the big portion of it.
So if we're not charged for, you know, if the materials were locked in at the cost, then what would you say was the main reason we're over? delay, time delay, is it?
Time delays is a big portion of it, yeah. Just extended design time and working
So
through.
figuring out the building and the design of it, so if we built like a rectangle, it would have taken us time to process.
Yeah, it would have been easier, yeah, without all the challenges in it, yeah.
And simpler building, design,
You know, as you were explaining what was happening and the different issues and problems you were running into, it seemed like there were just a lot of surprises along the way.
Yeah, I mean,
I was getting the impression that somebody's not knowing what they're doing.
not knowing what we're doing.
Yeah. And to have a contractor that's having trouble getting people on site and getting the work done, I don't feel that's our problem. I think that's why we hired you folks.
Right.
You know, with the experience we've got in creating public buildings.
And there is, I mean, there's one issue on here, that's a manpower related issue, that's one manpower related.
All these surprises that you're talking about, it sounds like a story from a contractor that's very inexperienced. And it's surprising the hearing this from you folks.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to hear you say that, and just because my experience alone, I mean, I've built over 500,000 square feet of public works facilities myself with the second construction, and I know I've done over 1.5 million square feet, just strictly public works. So I mean, I think we're very experienced with building this type of building, and it's one of our specialties. I mean, I'm doing the same thing for Sandy City right now, public works building, I'm doing the same thing for Laramie, Wyoming, I mean, and future cities coming up that we're looking at now, so like.
And are they all over budget? Is Kansas City over budget? Is
Sandy
Laramie?
City's in the early stages, but right now it's not, and Laramie is just starting as well, so I mean, we're already on both of those projects.
So what's the sense, reputation, or, you know, for being over? What's your track record for being over? Because for me, I wasn't here when I was on the council when the bid came through, so I don't know what the other bids were. But just my impression of looking at this is bid low to get the job and then come back with a real price.
See, and that's not quite the way this bid worked, because this was, we came out this with you guys with a 2.4% fee. And then everything was bid out, 3 bids deep, and the bids were all approved, looked at, lowest bid was taken. So I mean, our fee was a big fee, 2.4%.
So what's your track record as a spent with past projects? Do they normally end up going over?
So let's look at this from another standpoint, if you will. So when you look at this with change orders, that take you over budget, if we look through every one of these change orders, none of them are contractor driven. None of these change orders or anything that a cent came to Gary and Scott and said, guys, we missed this, we need to add more money. These change orders are either driven by owner changes to change the building or design errors and omissions. We can go down through the list of change orders and verify that as well. I mean, I haven't changed.
You already done that with staff.
We have. Gary and I have gone through the change orders a few times, and Scott and I have as well.
So you're comfortable
Well,
with the discussion?
and I guess that's the one frustration I had was, I saw one change order at the very beginning of the project that I hadn't seen since in writing and approved. And typically, that's what I expect in a project, and I voiced this with Kelly, what my concern was, you know, and Scott, and maybe Scott can chime in, you know, like the doors and some of the other issues, design issues that they ran into, they were done, but I never, change order never came across my desk. So I was caught a little bit unawares, and some of that's communication between Scott and I, but really I think there should have been written change orders that we approved, because in that case, I would have brought it back to the council and said, okay, here's the changes that are occurring, so that you were aware of it. So, you know, and that's just the lack of communication, and I think one thing that happened, and maybe Kelly, you can address this, when we had Andrew Hill when we first started this project, if you remember, that was doing a lot of the work, and we had great communication there, but then Andrew left the company, and we didn't have anybody to fill that slot. And later, you know, about in August of this year, I told Scott, I said, we haven't heard anything, you know, from their Andrew, you know, the person that would take Andrew's position. I said, see where we're at on this, and it took us clear till October to get the numbers. So I don't know if the personnel change created some issues with issue, or?
It did, and I agree 100% with what you're saying. There was a lack of communication. There was stuff that Scott and I was discussing on site that is something that we don't have a great control on until we got to August at that point. We sat down with Scott and went through this, and then we picked back up on that and managed that issue.
So if you look at this, I mean, it shows a difference of $372,000, but really it's $176,000 more than that. Because the expectation is that you're not gonna use all of that contingency. I mean, that's there as a cushion, but your best bet is that you don't need to use the contingency, and you put that there just in case. So really, it's more like $550,000, over, and $187,000 of that is change orders, but the rest of it is not. The rest of it is winter conditions and general conditions, and so if you look at that, I mean, the one contractor alone with the exterior finishes, was supposed to last 38 days, and went from, best I can tell, sometime the middle to end of June until almost January.
124 days.
That's not my issue.
Yeah.
To me, that's a lack of the general contractor being on the sub saying, you've got a contract and you've got to be here and do this. And so if that takes 40 days, we're done in August or September, and we're not dealing with 3 months of winter conditions that are here now.
Well, the winter conditions were the winter.
Okay, but there's cost involved here that, I mean, by pushing it out this far, those are things that are out of our control. And I know this was a different project and there wasn't a guaranteed maximum price, like you would see, what's the acronym we used, design build, general, CMGC, which I'm not a big fan of anymore. From here on out, if we do a project, I'm gonna push for, we have a set price that's a guaranteed maximum price for the contractor, because I think this is ridiculous to come back at the end and say, and we've known that there's been some increases here and there, but not $550,000 worth. And, your person communicating with the city and leading up the project, not my problem. Those are things that make this sit poor with me, in us having to come up with the money. And in what's been presented, I haven't seen anything saying, well, it was this, but a sense gonna realize part of this is our issue and we're gonna discount it by this much. The costs, from what I see, are all still in there, and the city's being requested to cover all of the overruns, when some of it may have been in our control. I mean, I understand if you have some change orders, and because of those change orders, it pushes things out. But you guys are the contractors, you're the experts. You should be driving the process, and there is no reason that, it should have gone from 219 days to 400 days. From 219 to 300, I can understand, going over 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, to go over by 230 days, to double the length of the project, that's a contractor issue. And so that's my heartburn with it, is that, but the responsibility and the cost is all coming back to us.
When I redid my house, there was a clause in there that said if they didn't finish in a certain amount of time, they had to start paying me. So I don't understand why we have to start paying you because you're past the finish deadline.
So, as I stated in this, the beginning of this added up to 9 months longer in design. I didn't design this building. I built this building. 9 months delayed there.
Okay,
That's
but
sort of
it's
compounded.
it's a CMGC, you're the one coordinating a lot of that, right?
Coordinating? No,
Okay,
not the design.
okay, so maybe we need to get the design team involved in this discussion too, because again, the city, there were some changes made, we expanded the size of the one room, but there was a lot of it that was done up front, and before the project started, should have been discussed and talked about,
And you guys are the experts. We're the customer paying for a job to be done, and if it's not done right and on time and it goes way out of control, how is that our issue?
Well, and I think that's what I presented to you right here. I think I explained to you the issues with the underground utilities and the problems we had there, with the design delays, with the understanding of getting documents at a certain time that we didn't see.
Okay, so you didn't know there were any lines going under the property?
No, we
As a contractor that's made a bid on a project, you don't look into those things beforehand, you just look at the raw dirt and say, okay, yep, we'll come and we'll dig.
How are we to know what lines are there? And what elevations they're at, they're gonna conflict with the design as the.
Just the same way anyone else is. You call up the companies and you come in and you look at a plat in the city and you find out what easements there are and you investigate.
I mean, Chris, we didn't know, how was I gonna know the elevation of those pipes and if those would be covered this year in the design?
We did have some issues with some of the petroleum companies, the North Ogden line, or the North Salt Lake line, was an issue that, we had to reroute water line. It was a storm drain line that caught, us by surprise. It came across the railroad track and tips, so there were some, and there always are, there were some surprises on that.
230 days worth?
And I'm not compounding all of those delays with that issue. We've got other issues along the way that, I mean, there's this RFI there's these two RFIs on here that were 67 days to get a response to an issue there. 67 days are out of my control.
Okay, so you request it and then you just sit and wait.
We didn't just sit and wait. We had engineers on site, we had a weekly meeting, that this was discussed, there was no sitting and waiting, there was an active discussion on it, trying to solve the issue.
Okay, and so those RFIs, tell me what they were then.
So there was RFI 46 and 53, and they all pertain to the same thing. There was a main beam in the building that carries the roof trusses, that the elevations on it didn't work, they didn't jive with the wood frame trusses and the flat roof, and we had to come up with a fix to lower that beam and support the trusses to the roof.
Okay, so a city problem?
And, so here's the other thing.
A city problem? You're waiting for the city to give an answer on the design of the building and how it's gonna work and tie the trusses into the building to make it so that it's okay?
No, never said it was city.
But, no, I'm just asking.
None of the issues that come up for city.
Okay, but it's the city's responsibility to eat the cost of all of the delays. That's my point, is that there's some of these things that were the city, but all of the cost is being pushed to the city to make it right. And that doesn't sit right with me. Now, if I saw this and I looked at those costs and we said, okay, there's $372,000 here, we take out the $187 for change orders, and we figure out a way to split that between us and the contractor and the design team, then we're talking. But for you as the contractor to come back to the city and say, okay, here you go, you're responsible for all of this, that doesn't sit right. We are not the experts in this. We hired you to be the experts, to drive the process, to make sure everything was done, and make sure it's done on time and on cost. And it's out, I mean, there's part of it that's in our control, and so I'm okay with paying for our share of that. But the rest of it, I don't think should be the city's responsibility. And maybe I'm way off base there. But, if it were my house, and it was the contractor coming back and going, oh, you know, none of these things were in your control, but we went almost a year beyond schedule, and oh, here's an extra couple $100,000 that you owe us now. That's not okay with me. Do you see my logic and my point with that?
I do.
Okay. So where do we go?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think that we need to hear from Jim, and I think we need to hear from Greg on some of these issues as well.
I agree.
And I'd like to have Scott Simon do his opinion.
Let's have, Jim, you wanna come up and talk about the design issues?
Jim, Scott.
What's that?
Oh, I think you're saying something. Jim Polonsik with Think Architecture.
Can you hear me okay?
It'll just be loudly louder.
That's not a problem. So, just to preface this conversation, the first time I knew and understood there was this cost overrun in the amount stated was last week talking to Scott on the phone. In fact, we had some punch list items that I had not received. It's what I'm gonna call the second punch list that we did, that was the exterior of the admin building. And I hadn't seen those, and I emailed Kelly, and I hadn't heard back from him, and then I emailed again, and he responded and sent them to me. And then shortly thereafter, Scott got in touch with me and started explaining the cost overrun due to time for what we're calling GC conditions. A majority of it is the general condition. I think that's the biggest topic here right now, or heartburn, if you would. And there's two RFIs that were stated, RFI number 46 and 53. And in my logs, my RFI logs, the duration of time of issuance from the contractor and returning to the contractor does not add up to 68 days. I'm not sure where that number comes from, but we pretty much had weekly meetings. There were times that we'd go every other week, but during this time of 68 days, that could roughly be 8 meetings. And if I'm a contractor and I haven't heard back from the design team on an issue, I think I would have brought it up and said, you need to get on this and get it to us. But again, my log does not show that it was 68 days. In fact, and I looked at the transmittal letters, I looked at the transmittal from the contractor from the parent, and then my return transmittal. And for 46, I showed 2 days on here. For 53, I show 2 days. So, I'm sure the contractor is gonna have some support documentation that might say that contrary to what I just stated. But I'm not sure where that disconnect is coming from, to be honest with you. In the regards to design delays, if you would, yes, and I experience this with a lot of projects, that it's always in a state of flux. Design is in a state of flux. From beginning even to end, there are changes in design. And if everybody on the teams, client, our design team, contractor, are in agreement with what's happening during that course of time delay, if you would, then it makes it a smoother project. If they understand the project's going to be pushed back, everybody is willing to do that because we're going to get a product that they want. When we went out for the first punch list, I believe it was, and Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was end of October, 1st of November, somewhere in there. When we went out on a punch list, there were still a lot of people working. And typically, I don't know if I'm using a term that most of you don't understand, but punch list is when you get to a point, you're just looking at things and vents and things like that, paint, touch up, and a few other types of issues that may occur, mainly cosmetic. And there were still a lot of people out on the site working at that time. And then we went out for a second punch list, and there were still people putting flashings on the top of walls, and people still working. Not as many as the first punch list as there were. But typically, a lot of times, things are coming to a halt, coming to completion at that time. So that pushed us into the end of November, December for that second punch list. So that is way beyond the mark, if you would, of time. I think the putting the foundation was put in for permit about May, end of May, June, somewhere in there. I don't have the exact time. I think it was issued in June, July. Maybe it was the first part of July. And then I think I saw some photos that showed putting it in somewhere at the beginning or end of August. So the push to get the footing and foundation package out was because there were building design issues being worked on. Now, this is not the typical project, because we have a civil engineer hired by the city, we have an architect hired by the city, who had a structural engineer hired by the city. That was my team, those two, me and the structural. And then the contractor had the MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So when you say design team, it's not all think architecture, there's other groups involved in, that had contracts with designers. So yes, there were some hiccups on the way initially, but in my experience, that becomes part of the process. Because people may change their mind, or things are DE'd, or et cetera, and that pushes things into a different time frame. I don't know if the design phase was the bigger hiccup, more so than maybe a labor issue and getting people on site, able to get people on site. Because I know there were issues with metal siding, and I believe there was a roofer, I'm not exactly sure. That's a sense part, but that is a sense responsibility in controlling things on site. And if I have an issue that's holding them up, then I would expect them to say something, or we could, work that out during the course of construction. So I don't know if there's much else. Do you want to ask any questions?
But tell me again, so you had, Think was the architecture firm,
We're the architect of record, and we have PhD, who is the structural engineer.
and the structural engineer was hired by you or hired by?
They were hired by us, and then they would work with, they have their own components, masonry walls, metal framing, wood trusses, and then there was the Barco Cruden side, which, then those two have to coordinate, because some of the masonry walls absorb some of the forces from the Barco Cruden structure, so they had to coordinate forces. That was one of the big design responsibilities there between the two parties. And then putting foundation systems interfacing with the rigid frame or the framing of the building.
And then we had JV that was hired as the city engineer to oversee the process from the city side and make sure everything was happening
On the site design.
on the site.
Yeah. And then everybody works together to bring it all.
So, again, one of the biggest pieces of the delay in here is structural. And so, again, you're the experts and should be able to have the design in place to make it so that the construction goes smoothly. And so, and I know there's a discrepancy in you saying that they were turned around in 2 days and them saying they were turned around in 68 days. I don't know how we resolve that, but,
Yeah, that's not, you're right, that's not your problem. That it really is not, that's why you do hire us. And during the construction phase, there's that coordination of entities, contractor, the architect. The contractor, it is his site, and he has control over the site. And so.
that's all my question.
Tell me what the rough MEP stands for.
Mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Sorry about that, so it turns out that.
So, several times during the construction, I would ask Scott how the building was coming along, and he kept telling me that, Ascent, as the general contractor, was having issues getting subs on site in a timely manner. Is that a lot of the issues going on with all the construction going on and everything? I would think that you would have had those all lined up and ready to go in a timeline given to them.
Are you asking me?
Well,
I thought you were looking at, okay, I'm sorry.
But you guys both have, skin in the game on that type of thing, or is it that's Ascent's responsibility?
I'm not in,
Subcontractors that would fall on us. So any subcontractors on site, that's our responsibility. I'm Steve Dorn, by the way. I was the superintendent that was on site. As far as subcontractors went, we had two subcontractors that we had a little rough go with. One of them was our, mechanical contractor, which was in charge of the plumbing and mechanical systems. They were slow to get on site and to get going, but they still made their deadlines, and they still got the things done in the time that was allotted to them. But yes, it was a constant struggle to get those guys there to begin with. Obviously, if they would have been there, we probably could have finished ahead of schedule with them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that would have got us anywhere with some of the other delays that we had. So, but other than that, the majority of the subcontractors, we didn't have any issue with other subcontractors on site,
Other than the exterior guy.
other than the exterior guy. And we did everything we could to try and supplement him, and even tried to terminate the contract with him, but again, it's
Because that's between those two, that's like 193 days that they took on those two issues. The exterior finishes 124 days and the rough MEP 79 days.
The only thing you have to, but the thing you have to look at too is, yes, the exterior finish did go over those many days, but it didn't affect any of the general conditions. Because of the fact that
It
there
didn't
were.
impact the cost though.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Some of those did not impact the cost necessarily. As far as exterior finishes go, yes, he was there for an extremely long time. But as far as him delaying anybody else, he was on the outside of the building, and what he did not affect what was going on inside to finish that building. The building was already dried in, it was watertight, so there, as far as him being there and working on the outside, it would not have affected any other trade. So he went over, he extended extremely far, and it's extremely frustrating and embarrassing for me to have a contractor do that. But at the same time, as far as cost goes, the majority of these general condition costs and stuff that we have the majority of them are all gonna be based off of the design delay that we have, and pushing this out because of the design delay.
So did your contract that you had with your sub for your exterior, even though it took him almost 90 days more to complete the job than what you had down, you gave him 38 days to complete, to 124. You had a contract with him for that specific job, I'm sure, for $1 amount. Did he end up charging you more?
No.
On that contract, or he charged you the same amount that he would have if he would have got it done in 38 days, that he did in 124?
Yeah, even if the contractors go long, they cannot charge us anymore. Unless it's due to a change order that was come up, and then typically with the change order, there's cost and time associated with the change.
So then where is this $302,000 coming from?
It's
Do you have a breakdown? Like, of.
What
happened
constitutes
to
general
that?
conditions?
Yeah, what caused it then? If it's not the exterior going over and it's not the mechanical engineer, they keep saying it's the design. A design delay does not cost $300,000.
Okay, so
That's ridiculous. So what are you not telling us?
So here's what part of the problem was, is when we got started, in our original bid package, we talked, before we even had design, and we said that we were gonna shoot for 10 months to have this job complete. That was an estimate, we didn't even have design of the building at this point. But that was the time frame we were gonna shoot for, was the 10 months. So, and one of the ways that we were gonna make that 10 months is we were gonna have an early start package that got us there on site early to start doing groundwork, utilities, and footings. And in the time frame that we were there doing that work, we should have had design and the building drawings 100% complete before that finished, so that we could move on to the rest and keep going. We started the earthwork, and that's where the delay began. So we were on site, and general conditions were occurring, which is there's quite a few things that included in that general condition cost. That's gonna be my time on site, it's gonna be dumpsters, concrete washout bin, my trailer, my truck, my fuel cost.
But you just told me that our year fee is a 2.4% cost.
Plus cost. 2.4% is the fixed fee plus cost of the work.
See, to me, what you guys are trying to do is make up for lost time. Because this job took way longer than you expected, and so you need to make up that money. And so you're coming to the city looking at us like we're, daddy warbucks with deep pockets to cover these things, and that's ridiculous. It's not our problem that this job took you longer to do. So as a company, you should own up to that and eat that cost. That's the price of doing business. If I took longer in our business to fix someone's car or, cause some sort of problem, then I would be expected to cover that cost, not go back to the customer and be like, well, you know what, that took me 8 hours longer than the book says, and so I'm just gonna charge you more. No, you can't do that.
See, that's what I've tried to explain with these costs. These costs.
But you don't have a breakdown of these costs. You're just giving us a lump sum of $300,000, and you're like, well, it's this and this. We don't have that.
Gary, that's not the case. I've provided a breakdown of these costs.
We've got those. And
I've provided that breakdown.
It's the vehicle, it's the time, it's all of those things.
But again, that's,
Every month we bill, we give everything completely itemized for what we're billing, and Gary's got those every month.
Every cost is broke down and shown on there.
well,
Greg, do you have anything you want to add in the conversation?
Not really. JP started on site work in 2016, so, it's still back, by the way. We got started on it, Scott asked for it, he designed we gave him a number, and, some of the meetings and things like that, just time delay, it seems like there was a hurricane that changed some of the mechanical or something that kind of got in the way, that it was an early change order. So, yeah, I think things, delayed, my cost came in quite a bit higher, because after the design, we just build, we attend meetings, and we go, and just question. So, there are a few things, like the North Salt Lake pipe, that, GP spent their money, spent our time, a couple other things. Other than that, I don't know that I really have anything to say. It just appeared as if things drug on a lot longer, throughout the process, and, with a lot of things that could have caused those delays, and yeah, it's very frustrating as you look back, especially now in hindsight. General conditions is a tough one, it's in the contract, if the contractor has general conditions in there to maintain portage on concrete washout and all of the monthly things that are there, that is a cost, we just hope that the project is going for a while, that becomes a big issue, and that's what we're fixing. Any questions for me? I don't know that whole thing.
No, it's just frustrating that this has drug on so long.
yeah, but you have to pay porta potties because the exterior guy takes forever. And I don't know what kind of gas you're burning, but quite expensive.
Our responsibility is to represent the citizens of this city. They're gonna be paying for this building for 20 years on bond. And,
So right responsibility.
yeah, and right now, there's no way that I personally would approve these overruns. Brent, I would highly recommend that all parties involved, you get a room, you sit down, and you work something out, you work a compromise, because what's been presented is not acceptable. It's just not.
So you're ready for where you want to go from here?
Well, we have,
Scott, you want to add your 2 cents?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I've been able to hear most of you quite loud, but I had a hard time hearing Kelly or Steve, a lot, when I kept the pieces of it. I know at first, Ryan was quite disturbed of, design on the site. Part of that design, Ryan, on the site was a mismarked water line. That's why North Salt Lake, we had to pay for them. North Salt Lake and the water line, a leak brought it to their attention, after review of what we did. And so that was a little, but there was signs on, you might say, between, different components of the building, the structural engineer, he delivered, plans to Logan so they could do a quicker review. They stood around the 24th or so of July, and then they had other follow-up on that. Yeah, there's a delay. We were hoping to put it in the ground sooner than that. It's been an explanation for those items that you see that delayed it. You gotta realize once major component delays, then you have to back all the stuff. Other major component, you have to back all the stuff. So it did adapt. And as far as I stand, our agreement that we set, that it can go through, is that we did have an open fish on. Yes, discouraged about it. I've expressed feelings to a number of them there in the audience. When we tried to get the buildings, or when we some of our buildings out, and the people agreed to put them back, we were hoping to be in that building about June, and wasn't. So we could be general suspicions on those accessory buildings. Things for, I have a hard time in the last days, specifics. That's the thing. You know, we've been told in our meetings, September come and gone, and we were still trying to get the final piece of the building. So I've been frustrated, you know, that the process didn't go as smoothly as we had hoped. We were kept being, you know, 2 years when we were planning the building, it didn't function as I interpreted or I expect to do. And so, yes, they have frustrations, but I have a hard problem with the last 90 days is what I really express, that I have I think everything else worked through it, but 90 days, I just have been really frustrated. So that's my comment.
Scott, you've been really close to this project, and you've been down there almost every day. How many days in this last 90 days did you go down there and find nobody there on site?
I don't know, I didn't. Steve was there every day, he could keep guys there. In fact, I was in presence of Steve when him and the EME, the mechanical plumber, they got in pretty verbal on. I was there and he told me, I can't have these guys, I get this done in a 2-month period you're telling me. See, when you do, or, you know, you got it. And, you know, he made an effort, but, there was a conflict there, and I wasn't there enough in Steve's shoes to understand all the facts, why he couldn't get that. I just know there was a lot of wait for somebody else to do something. Somebody wanted to wait till everybody was done and they could come in and do their own thing, you know. That stuff was very hard. Yeah. But
Okay, any questions for Scott? Gary, do you want to chime in?
Well, you know, there's a lot of issues involved in here, and maybe the suggestion that we all get in the same room and have a discussion and then come back, because I think there's a lot of things, it's very complex, and, you know, I understand a lot of the issues with the contractors and what I understand, and the interaction between the architects. So I I think maybe the best thing to do is for us to go back, maybe get everybody in the same room and discuss it, and then come back and
Rather item by item.
give you a better explanation of why we're where we're at. This project didn't turn out as I hoped it would. I'm probably along the same line as you, Ryan. This approach did not work for us. And, I guess my frustration is we did hire the experts to kind of take care of this for us, and we feel that didn't happen. I think I understand the reasons why, and if I had to do it all over again, I'd certainly look at it from a different perspective, but I don't build these every day, so.
Thank goodness, right?
Thank goodness, and yes, looking back on it, there's some things that Scott and I could have done much better. I'll say that up front, looking at it, but it's something we don't do all the time. So I think I'd like to sit down with the parties involved and have a discussion and answer some of the concerns, and then come back.
One concern that we have too was the thickness of the asphalt that Matt reported on, last week. What did we find there? We took samples in different areas in the area in the.
Scott, I think Scott can answer that, because he had a meeting with the contractor, and Kelly, I think you can answer that too.
So the day that we discovered that we have the issue, Steve had called he was on site. They called the other subcontractor that maybe waived, but also the next morning we met on site. We got a commitment from the site contractor that they will repair any of the areas that are insufficient. And then they will be relaying another section of one of our material bays that's a drainage problem. So they made a commitment that they will repair that. We've agreed to wait till May, June when we get some good warm temperatures. They'll help what we need help moving on is back.
Do we have any warranty on that for a certain number of years if other areas, pop up and we get heavier trucks pulling in on that might collapse the asphalt maybe 8-9 months down the road or whatever? Or?
So you do have a year warranty on it?
Should have a warranty of a year period of time frame.
Okay.
In fact, it's around the materials building or inside the materials building. The rest, we have.
Okay, so you have addressed that issue.
Yeah, so we met on site with Scott and Morgan Asphalt, and I have our excavator as well, and determined the issue. Morgan determined that it was their issue, the asphalt was too thin in those bays. Scott agrees that we can do that till the temperatures are better to get the right results we need.
Right.
So Morgan's agreed to come back so the temperatures are better and correct that issue.
Okay, sounds good.
So I was gonna just make one comment, if you, cause Google's always right? We know everything on the internet is true, but, if you Google CMGC, construction manager, general contractor, the top three, give a couple of just quick definitions, and one of those is a unique method used to accelerate project delivery. So, I have my ideas about that, but, anyway, I like the idea of getting everybody in a room and talking about these issues and figuring something out. We can get you guys a bunch of boxing gloves if you want, and, we can see who comes out.
I think I'd lose.
But, I think you've heard our concerns, and, I know it's been frustrating for you too. You guys didn't come and plan on being on site for an extra 8 months. I know that wasn't the plan, but I agree with what Wally said. Our responsibility is to represent our residents, and for something to overshoot by $550,000, I think they would not be happy with us if we didn't
initiate some further discussion and try to come to a resolution that maybe everybody, can agree on and feel like maybe everybody didn't come out on top. So, that's my
What
concern.
they say about compromise.
I do, that's why I.
So Gary, one last question too. There were supposed to originally, there were gonna be some other buildings or different things that we had to take out, mezzanines and different things like that. Are those things, were they part of the original $7.5 million? Did that include all those other things, and then we've taken those out, and so we're actually further in the hole because we aren't getting what we thought we were getting up front?
No, the 7.5 does have those taken out. If you remember, the reason we took those out is because the cost increase. So that's where the cost increase came into play, is we took those out and got it at the 755. Is that, am I correct? Yeah, so that's what we did, and if you remember, we took out all those other buildings.
Right.
In fact, to get to where we would do the bond, and then we came up with some other funds to put those back in.
Right.
And, really, Scott's concern was by putting those back in, he thought it would drag the project out, but in reality, both buildings, I think, got done about the same time, or some of them maybe a little sooner than that. So I guess to answer your question, the 755 did not include that other stuff. We took those out.
Because I knew they were taken out at some point, I just didn't know which number I was looking at the beginning.
Yeah, because we did have, if you remember, when we got to that point, the prices really went up because I think the hurricane and all that.
Right.
Greg referred to that, and so we pulled those out. So it does not include those.
Okay.
Okay, so you have your direction, Gary.
Yeah. Guess we'll spend a long time together. Okay. Thank you.
If there's no other comments, let's move on to item number 9, public hearing. Consideration to amend the FY 2019 budget for all city funds. Gary, do you want to?
Sure. You have the sheets in front of you.
You just hang up, Scott.
You can go back into the Senate chambers now, listen to the rest of his speech.
Tim, you hang up that phone and leave the other room there, and I make sure we're disconnected. The sheets before you is, each year at this time, I do a mid-year, correction of the budget, just getting us back in order and making the council aware of changes that occurred, in the budget. So the first main one is, increasing the, professional, technical, and administration, department. We've had some personnel issues that we've had to deal with, and so I've had to increase that. And that is, we were able to make some other adjustments in the administration, so we didn't increase the overall budget at all. We had, for instance, hiring the assistant city administrator. I think we had it started at the first of the year. We didn't get that done until October, so we had some savings there. So we were able to adjust that without making any increases in the overall budget. In the data department. What?
I thought you wanted to start January this year, or then you back.
Now, if I would have had her back at the start of the year, we could have maybe helped with some of these issues. She's been a great help. I am so pleased. So, great. The data department, I've increased the computer system support by 5,000. I put some additional in it when we did the budget, but looking at the numbers we've got, I felt I needed another 5,000, and then the equipment greater than 500, I put another 15,000 in there to cover that as well. We're paying through that by an increase in the energy tax, a little bit higher coming in this year than we budgeted, so that will cover that. In the police department, equipment greater than 500, which we talked to today, this evening earlier. So we're going to increase the equipment to $136,000 to cover the police, cost of the police vehicle. I would assume, Chief, that we're doing probably about $4,000 or $5,000 more than we thought, but the equipment is probably going to cover that. Yeah, so I think we'll be fine there. If there is any adjustments, we'll do that in June when we do the final adjustment. In building inspections, I've increased that by $30,000 because we just got more building going on in the city, but that's offset by a revenue increase in the building permits, so that washes itself out. In the public works building, this may sound a little counterintuitive, but I'm actually reducing the budget on that line item. And the reason being is that when we started the budget year out, I wasn't quite sure what we were going to pay in fiscal year 18 versus 19, so I put in more money than we actually needed. It doesn't mean I generated extra money, so I just backed that back. And then what I did is I backed out the surplus budget, because that surplus budget was really the bond money to pay for this, was sitting in a different area, and it was counted as budget surplus, and so that's how we've been paying for this building, is drawing down that surplus. So that gets us to where we need to be, and I brought it to pay for this, but if we work out something with the contractors, then that will be great. In the parks department, I've increased building and grounds repair because we had to remove a number of trees in Mills Park, if you remember. And so Scott had to increase his budget there to get those trees out. I think it cost $18,000 to remove all of those. So yeah, some additional money in there. Now, in the shops department, if you remember when the auditor was here, they raised the issue because I've shown him the budget we adopted as a transfer coming from the utility funds to pay for this. It's technically not a transfer, and quite frankly, I should have known that. It's really a cost to either build the building or pay the bond. And so all of these funds that we were transferring from the utility funds, the Class C funds that show the transfer, I'm now showing them as a construction cost of other funds, and so I'm showing in the shops account that money coming in to offset the construction of the building. And then I did the same in the debt service, because that was shown as a transfer, and I'm showing that as an allocation to bond payments from other funds. And so that reduces the transfers into the general fund from $1,611,000 to $350,000, which is from the capital improvement fund, which is a true transfer. Because that's just a kind of a subset of the general fund that you put in there for capital expenditures, and you transfer it back and forth. So that's what I'm doing there with that gyration. And then the last one is Scott needs to get some equipment for the shop building, plus do some landscaping. We took that out of the bond cost, and he said he can do it. So what he's doing is he's got some money in the streets and the parks department that him and his guys talked about, that they had for some capital improvements, some equipment that they feel that they can do without right now. So they're foregoing that to increase these, to do these things in the shop.
So Gary, I have a question.
Sure.
We have the room tax to the hotels and stuff that's supposed to be dedicated to beautification of the city and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Could any of those funds be used to do the landscaping around the city shop, since it's part of the beautification?
Sure. It's just, either Paul, move it.
Well, exactly, but I'm just.
Yeah, I'm showing the sales tax increase. We can show that and using the sales tax somewhere else and using that there. So.
I I just wondered if we could go ahead and use them for that.
Sure.
Only at our entryways.
Yeah. So, yeah, it depends, we've already got budgeted for some other things, but we can move it around if you like. Because I'm showing here that a $20,000 again in sales tax that I'm showing, projected, that will have additional, so that's how I pay for that. And then the other funds, the class fee, that adjustment is just that nomenclature change from allocation to public works facility construction from the transfer, so that's just changing that. Same with RAP tax, doing the same thing there, just changing that title. In the water fund, there was some adjustments in the overtime, in the group health, overtime and retirement were a little bit under budget, but we had some money in group health. And then I've done the same, the allocation to the public works bond payment for the water fund, and then the transfer. And then the improvements, we had, some $162,000 that we just budgeted the first of the year for improvements. Because Scott, the council approved changing the water meters out. That actually comes out of equipment less than $500, for those meters are not expensive, not over $500. So what I had to do is transfer $98,000 from that line item down into the water meters to cover that cost. And as we get closer to the end of the year, Scott actually projected to do more. We'll probably transfer some more into that account there, cover that. In the garbage fund, I increased the revenues by $22,000 for the fee increase, but offset that with the pickup expenses for the recycling, and then done the same thing for allocation to the bond payment in the garbage fund. The stormwater fund has done the same thing, moved the transfers into the allocation. And because we use some of the money in the stormwater for the bond payments, so for the construction, that's set up two accounts. Jessica and Ned are going to be busy creating two accounts. In the stormwater fund, I just put money in there for the money from the state. If you remember, UDOT participated in the stipend across the Redwood Road for $32,000, so I put that money in there. I increased the impact fees because they've come in more than what we anticipated, and moved the money out. What I did at the start of the year, I didn't know what projects we're doing, so we just lumped it under 730 storm drain improvements, and then as we've done each of the improvements, it's easier for Jessica and Ed in the future to track these. So we create special projects in there and then allocate the funds to each of the projects. So that's what I've done. I've taken that improvement amount and reduced it and then allocated it to each of the projects. And because we had that stipend project that was very expensive, I've had to pull it out of the fund balance in the storm drain fund. So that's all of the changes.
Okay, any questions here?
Mostly just shell, just moving money around. No, you didn't create any new money on it, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't create $500,000
Yeah, you want America's Got Talent, right?
No money laundering.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
But it's illegal.
We wish you could. Okay, if there's no questions from the council, I'll open this up for a public hearing.
Hi, public.
Any comment from the public? Michelle?
Oh,
Let me pour out of it, so I'm good.
I don't think I even touched yours.
No.
Okay. So if there's no public comment, we'll close the public hearing. That's at what, 8:10? Wow.
Well, 8:08.
Okay, so I will call for a motion then to adopt a resolution amending the FY 2019 budget for all city funds. Do we have a resolution number?
Yes, 219.
67. I was gonna get that, 'cause the last one was.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we adopt resolution 1957 and accept the Wizard's Grant budget.
So, Mr. Green budget changes.
I'm totally thinking with that.
I just wear a hat next time.
Yeah, you do, and maybe
But I'm counting celery.
I'll second
Okay.
the wizard.
Roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, thank you.
Plus the Grand Wizard and the Grand Coupon.
That's right. Item number 11, consideration to award bid for IT services. We got to move this to the end of the meeting, just so we can.
Come on.
Okay, Gary, you wanna?
In the last meeting, the council had some questions, and so I asked, each, both Computech and ETS, to provide, their responses to the question. And so, from those responses, I redid the sheet, and, the council indicated, I think, last meeting, that you wanted to go with the cloud-based, so I just left that in there. Couple of things, that, I think nothing really changed on the annual cost, other than an explanation on the office, and I got it right, 365, or it's 360, I'm sorry, I confused you. Probably Googling that, trying to figure out what the heck that
It's
was.
just a 5-day vacation.
Yeah.
It only works for 360.
Friday. Computech included within that a backup, for 365, and you see that, ETS's response is that they included that up in a different line item, so that's why they're a little different there. The phone support, I just clarified that, because I think there was an issue that it involved the billing for the line, et cetera. And that came down to the internet connection. ETS gonna give us a range, so I just shot right in the middle, 900. Computech gave us a $700 figure. And, the good news about that is that would be a savings for us. Because right now we're charging, we're charged about $1,500 for both, Comcast and, Precision that we have. So, the way that I broke it down is, the upfront cost, ETS is much higher at $30,381, and Computech much lower, because they don't have any upfront cost on the phones, and, they're upfront on the servers and putting those in quite a bit less. So, 30,000 for ETS and 16,000 for Computech, but the annual cost is, ETS is 50,000, and, Computech is about 52,000, well, 51,000 for ETS, 62,000 for Computech. So, probably about an $11,000 difference. So, within the first year or 2 years, it make up the difference in that upfront cost in the annual cost. I called the references for, each of them, contacted, North Salt Lake and, South Davis Metro Fire, that both ETS, they both felt, very comfortable with them, they felt they did, good for them. I contacted Wasatch County and, Box Elder County, the Computech, provide services for, and they both felt very comfortable. Now, one thing about those two, and maybe I should call some of the other references that they had, both of those references, they don't do the full IT for them, because each of those have their own IT department. The Computech's more of a consultant and provides them troubleshooting and then provides them equipment and that, but they were very, pleased with them as well. So, I think both companies, talking to the references, that they were comparable as to how they were pleased with the service.
don't think it's gonna put us on the reference check, so.
What's that?
References are only as good as. But that's not gonna put us on the reference.
Yeah. You don't think so?
No.
Not after they get our Christmas
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess, questions from the council, issues, concerns,
So I had, and I hope everyone got the email I sent to them today. I had an opportunity to meet, sit down with Chris and Brett and go over their bid to find out exactly what was included in those numbers. Gary explained on that Office 365, the difference right there. With 38 users, 21 of them are full users, 17 are partial users. The 4170 came out the exact same on both with Office 365. The difference is that they added a backup, a redundant backup system that's made just for Microsoft. It's a local Utah company that has a program. That's an additional, I think, $4.50 a month per user, and that is
$4.
yeah,
per user.
per user. Yeah, so that's the reason why the difference in cost is there.
And what's the point of having that?
Just,
Value?
yeah, so what that does is while you're working during the day and you're doing spreadsheets or whatever you're doing on your computer, it continues to back that up redundantly in another place in case your computer crashes or somebody intentionally deletes it or you accidentally delete it or whatever. You can be back online almost instantaneously with the exact, and so you don't have any loss of work or downtime. The other question that he had was on the monthly support calls. In their core network support, as I read through, ETS, they include 4, is that correct? 4 hours a month, Gary?
Right.
And Computech included 5 hours in their bid. And so when we were looking at that, they couldn't figure out where that $4,080 come from. But then talking to Gary, he went through and tried to equalize it at 9 hours per month for both. And,
Yeah, so, because really, I probably confused everyone there. What I should have done is just take the 5,100 minus 4,080 from it, which would be $1,020, whatever, which would be the extra hour, because, Computech gave us 5, EPS only gave us 4. So, and I just inflated those numbers a little bit, because I figured, when we're starting out with this, we may need a few more hours a month. But the difference between them still stays the same, and that's because, EPS is Computech is giving us an extra hour a month. So that's why there's only 4,000 and EPS is 100.
yeah, and so, and I'm looking at that, so after talking to Gary, and, I just sent him a text to find out that they would equalize those 5 hours per month over a year's time, so that's 60 hours a year that would be included in that $17,940. And so if you use 10 for the first 3 months, and then the next couple of months you only use 2 or 3, and then maybe 4 or whatever at the end of the year, if it adds up more or less than, or more than 60, we would get billed, but if it's under 60 or at 60, we would get billed. Is that?
Okay, so then, monthly support is if we use them, that's an additional.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm putting in there is additional, and if we didn't use it, that goes away. But in comparing them, the important thing is that I've added an extra little over $1,000 into EPS because they give us 1 hour a month less than Computech is with it. I just try to equalize the difference.
So on the Microsoft $4.50, the EPS says that it's included in their fee. Is that
Well,
correct?
there's, you know, they said they weren't aware of this backup that they're explaining, but you're saying that because they didn't, Computech didn't explain, they said it was a Microsoft product, but it is not, it's somebody else.
It's a separate program that's been developed here in the state of Utah by a separate company that's made just for Microsoft Office 365 that does the backup. And so it gives us a redundancy that, you know, just in case of an emergency.
You need to put that on every computer then, or is there a reason you say these?
Well, you would for you would want that on the 21 full users.
Yeah.
The other 18 you probably wouldn't.
Right.
But,
We're not good for touch companies,
Yeah.
if somebody has an access to the computer, really doesn't use Microsoft. Yeah, you don't
well,
have that.
that was identified up front with the 38 users.
Right.
So 21 employees use the full gamut of the Microsoft programs.
Right.
And 17 are only partial users, even if it's partial, you know, they still have an email and that type of thing, so. But anyway, and then down on the phone support, and he gave me two other, references to call, and I never did, I should have, but they do Bergen City and Blue Heights as well. And in all their situations, they recommend a dual phone line, because they're in a redundancy. If it goes down, then we have nothing to fall back on. And in their cost, that includes two brand new switches, high-tech switching, so we'll have one switch here and one down at the city shop where we can communicate back and forth really easy, and everything ties in. We have, what is it? I'm trying to think of it. It's Verizon, Comcast. And First Digital.
First Digital, and really they're not phone lines, it's more your internet.
Right, well, that's, yeah.
Yeah, so it's an internet service, and you know, I contacted EPS because when I looked at their responses, I contacted EPS and, look, do we need redundancy? And his response to me was, what he's quoting us is a commercial class business line that has, he's quoted at 99.9%, that they guarantee that they'll be up. So he says, you shouldn't have a problem, but if you do, we can, you know, if you're concerned about redundancy, we can get you another line in as well, if that's what you want, for $200 to $300 a month. So, but he says North Salt Lake hasn't really had a problem with it, they do the same thing. So that was his response to having the two lines.
So I just wanted to make sure that we were up to date on location.
Yeah. Also, Chris probably should have made a note here on the $19 per phone, because he and I had a conversation yesterday on this. Because when Brett quoted me the $19 per phone, that was at 50 phones, and then we dropped that down to 38. And Brett came back to me and said, I'm not sure if I can get you the 19 per phone on the 38 versus 50 because they have bulk. And so I asked Chris, I said, well, how much is it going to increase? Because if it's a big increase, that's the deal. And so he said it might not increase, but if it does, the most will be probably to $20 or $21. So that 19 is not a super hard number. So that's.
Okay, so, any further discussion? Any questions or concerns? I talked to Scott, he just says that, at first he really wanted Computech, but right now he doesn't care who we get, he just wants us to make a decision because it's impeding his moving into the city shop.
Yeah, he's gotta have internet.
He's gotta have internet down there.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience with either of these companies?
No, I don't, but we do have phones in the desk in the squad room that aren't used,
Oh, okay.
that can go away. That will go away if we We put in a wall and 2 offices over there that we're talking about doing, so we have, I think, probably 6 jobs. I don't know if that's.
Well, if we move those down to the shop.
Yeah, so, you know, when we get to this point, yeah, you and I need to sit down and chat, because if we can take a few phones out, that's great.
Yeah.
But don't set time to them if they're not being used. Right. Perfect.
We can have mine.
Well,
Wait till Jeff moves out.
You know what, take it. I'll just tell her no of it.
Yeah, I appreciate Michelle's comment, take, and then Mari. Mari coming with her comments, that I know I'm not much help in this decision, because I'm not very computer technical.
The one thing I'm having a hard time with is, it's still 11,000 a year difference. And the upfront cost, yes, there's, 15,000 difference, but in a year and 4 months, we make that up. And where this is an annual thing, that 11,000 turns into 22 and 33.
Jerry, what's our timeline on these costs? Do they need a 5-year pricing, or this is a 1-year pricing?
You mean, you mean health of these prices?
Yes.
3-year on the majority of it, 3 years. Both of them are comparable. A lot of these subscriptions are the same thing. It's about a 3-year window is what works on that.
Wally? Comment or question? Ryan? Okay, I'll call for a motion then. Somebody wants to make a motion?
I don't know which way to go, I'll support it. I don't know.
What are we motioning on?
Whether to accept ECS or
Okay.
I think we need to evaluate our purchasing protocol of policy. And I think unless we can find some real compelling reason, that we're kind of lost into setting on there. And that's not true.
Yeah, if you're, I don't really want to mention a building. I don't want to mention a building. If you're bidding something out, that's brick and mortar, okay? Brick and mortar, then I think that is very true. Now, services, I think there's a little bit more wiggle room because you're dealing with a lot of quality of service, et cetera. But I don't know, what would differentiate you. There's certainly one, the owner of one is in the community, and I think that's what's driving a lot of this discussion. And yes, but the margin is fairly wide here, so I don't know. That's something.
Well, and you could decide to take some of that off too. I mean, if you didn't want that backup program on there, it'd be the exact thing, 4170. You know what I mean? They're just looking at for, they've got an NSA grade backup site that they're, for security and that type of thing in their cloud, so. And then we're talking two lines rather than one. For redundancy.
Have we ever run into a problem with our phones going down?
You mean internet connection? Oh, yeah.
With what we have, is that a need?
Yeah, and see, the problem we have is that if one goes down, the other one usually does too.
Well, that's what I'm wondering,
Yeah.
is that gonna be prevented, or is it
I think sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. just
So
depends
it's
on
not a guarantee.
what's creating the issue, yes, because sometimes they're paired together, and so sometimes we lose one, we don't have the other.
And the one's gonna be a fiber network, is the ones we have now, is it, is it fiber? It's not.
No, Comcast isn't, and neither is First Regional.
So ECS wants to put us on a fiber.
But they would bring over on
They're both.
Oh, they go. Then where's that?
There's just a redundancy in service on what's proposed with Comtech. Comtech has a main line that provides the service, all the time, and if it goes down, they have a line that it switches to, so that it's a different provider, so they both shouldn't go down at the same time.
And is that worth $9,000?
It depends.
Like, I'm trying to figure out why there's such a big.
Well, I'll tell you the thing that's driving it. The main difference is in the co-location services, because there's a $9,000 difference there. That's your main driver, right there. The 12,000 versus the 21,000.
Yeah.
That's the main driver, and then the other driver is your phone system. You're about a $3,000 difference. Other than that, they're very close. They're very close.
And the co-location services is together.
Well, that's having your data stored in two different places, so if you lose a server here, it's mirrored on a server in a different location. Right. And unless the whole state goes up in flames, you don't lose, connectivity in the data. If you only have it in one location and you have a failure of hardware or something, then you lose all of your data. And so they mirror it in two locations, and you could lose all of your hardware in one location and still maintain your data.
So ECS does not offer that.
No, they both have. It's in the co-location.
It's a co-location.
One of them is just it's costing them more.
Break it down here, where all of these costs are built in there. So that's.
Yeah, that's true. The 12,000 versus 21 is probably not.
It's probably more like 15,000.
It's probably $15,000 versus 21, because you've got all these off-site backup, the email gateway, firewall. That's all included in, I would assume, I don't assume, I know that's what they did is in the 21.
Now, the phones, the 50 users or whatever, so did we decide that if we don't have any phones, so the police department will take them?
Well, actually, that's wrong on my behalf. That 50 should be 38. I originally gave them the 50 number, and then I came back, I think Michelle, we go in and we talk to each department and how many phones you got, and so we removed the 50 down to 38.
Okay, but this is a true cost difference between 38 versus 38 on both.
On both? Yeah, both of them are, well, again.
Because the per unit cost lower, will be a little higher on the PC,
Yeah,
so we have less phones.
Yeah, because, the, EPS did give me the number on 38 phones.
The 7.6 is the 38.
Yeah, let me double check.
So that, total station, was a big deal.
Then we have to eliminate it on both sides.
So, and this one, we go through the 3 months of order. So that's included, so really, we eliminated that with that 1,000.
So the 11,400 on Comtech is based on 50.
Yeah, and
That's the $12 or the $19 a month.
Yeah.
Times 50 times 12.
let me go pull my documents. I wanna make sure I'm being fair there, because I need to make sure, because I know with Computex, because I've had discussion, but I think EPS did lower theirs to 38.
So what that should be, is that should be, this should be.
total.
Do you think it's individual? I don't know.
There's water on it.
And then, what is that?
Does it get any work with either of these companies?
I haven't.
How cheap is the train we get in the rail?
So EPS is 50 as well, so I think we're gonna have to say that probably both of them may adjust a little bit, I'm not.
So that's 76 and 8 is the 50.
Yeah.
The upfront cost for ETS, does that include the purchase of new phones, or is that the, that's all new equipment, or how, what is that?
Well, what they've done is they are charged, because what they're doing is they kind of have their system, okay? Because what Computech is doing is they just call First Digital and say, hey, you know, what's it gonna cost to do this, blah, blah, blah. And so First Digital just gave that number, $19 per phone, install the phone, and everything, that's it. EPS has their own system, and so that upfront cost is $3,000 for installation, and then a license for the phone. So that's where that $2,000. So it's a different approach. And Jeff Bassett did tell me that the fire district does use their phone system, and they really like it. So I think I'm comfortable there, but
Son, sign bill.
yeah.
I would not work.
I don't really
Not the sign bill, EMGC, the sign bill is the other thing.
Okay.
So that's really the difference there, and so I suspect that,
So if we go with Computech, we stay with First Digital and Comcast. If we go with EPS, we drop them and go with EPS.
yeah, their phone system, and it'll be carried over a CenturyLink line. Yeah.
Well, even the internet, essentially like internet.
And the phone stuff.
Yeah, they do, so that makes.
Green was on
It's
there.
$9,000.
No.
Well, I figured there's $37.92 on the phone, and the co-location is $4,062. After you eliminate the monthly support phone. So we're still,
They're lower. Computech's a lot lower.
there's $8,454 difference.
On the phone, total.
I'm just looking at annual cost. Because upfront, you know, either way, we're gonna have to pay something upfront, but the thing that gets, I don't mind one-time upfront cost. What I do mind is overpaying year after year after year when that adds up and we can put that in.
I think you got a emergency call. Yeah, I talked about reservoirs.
Just tell them, if the house has got an inch of water in it, no matter if it's 5 inches.
We're speaking from experience.
That's gonna be sewer water.
Almost in a year, Ted.
You got it. It'll always be.
It'll always.
Oh, come on, Jess, you didn't have to answer all the calls.
But I haven't.
But guess who gets to next time?
Yeah, I put that specifically in the job description.
Risk management.
Yes.
You got to start winning the rest for it, you rebate.
Up off the David Boulevard.
Somewhere up there, it's confusing.
I don't know what I'm
Sorry, look down there, I saw that, balance it back.
Yeah, you gotta talk.
Okay. You got the numbers in front of you.
I do. Cause I wanted to answer this question.
What was my question?
No questions?
I thank you for your,
If Jessica had dealt with any of the companies, I just want to at least say on behalf of the one that has been dealing with both of them, I have been very impressed with UPS and how they've handled the whole entire situation through the last 11 months. They've been outstanding to deal with. They have been forthcoming with everything that we've asked them to do, and I think that we would get the best service out of UPS if we ended up going with them. But it's possibly high.
So it's a 3-year contract? Is that
You mean with them?
Yeah.
No, we would enter into probably a more open contract. The 3 years is with a lot of these subscriptions.
Okay. So if we're not happy, we can change. It's not like our
Well,
cycling.
I hate to say that, you got to look at the front.
yeah,
I know.
yeah.
You gotta do it right the first time.
Yeah, I think you go into this thinking long-term relationship. So, because this is something you just can't walk away from, and then, because you're gonna eat some costs up front.
As much as I was, I want to support Brett Anderson and our citizens, I just can't, the rest of the citizens, I can't explain why we would pay an additional $8,454 a year for the same services that we can get for us.
And so my comeback on that is that on this upper section up here, you could, if you did want the backup on the Microsoft, that would be comparable. You could do it 4170 instead of the 6222.
Right.
Because that was an addition that UPS didn't bill.
So that does take 2,000 off that, which makes it
Which I already took into account.
47 and
Because
42.
we were at an $11,314 a year difference.
And then
So
you
taking
adjust the monthly support.
Yes, I did, and that's what gives me the $8,454. It's still,
It's more than
you're looking to double check. Yeah.
The monthly support calls, the way to do that is
1,020,
you take the 4,080, eliminate that, and then change the 5,000 to 1,000, 220, 1,020.
yeah, that's what I did.
Okay, yeah.
And I still came up with $8,454.
Because that doesn't change your difference between them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it all comes down to co-location. I mean, and certainly, Utah's known for, we are the best, make a backup repository for every major database hub in the United States. That's what we do that here for some reason. So I think that the co-location services are an interesting part of that. I don't know if they would be willing to say, can we get a reduction in that from CT? We're certainly paying something there that probably is a little more robust on the CT side than from the EPS side. But I don't know if we need that level of service. So I don't know if there's an opportunity there to maybe renegotiate that down, or look at that a little differently from him, or if there's an option there. Or, I don't know, I apologize, I didn't get into the details again.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I asked Computech to give me the best price on it, so that's what they came back with, and,
Basically $1,800 a month, right?
yep. Yeah, so, I don't know if they've got the ability to cut that back or not.
And quite frankly, I build, I wrote a spreadsheet the other day, and I really hate it, actually. Really making that, but if you have to do something, we're not running our accounting system. I mean, if this is a backup, this co-location is a backup to all of our accounting, all of our, everything that we're doing, right?
We use Excel for our accounting.
So you don't need that, so, I mean, the core functions that we're doing are all on other systems than what we service only on this co-location.
Yeah, so the co-location services is $1,800 a month, that includes 2 services plus licensing requirements, offsite service backup and migration of all existing applications to self-building, et cetera,
To their cloud, but see, so we already have a backup with Cassell, the state system, with their redundancy, right? Am I understanding?
I don't know.
Castell's just an online,
Yes.
you log in online.
Yeah, and
So
so,
it's not posted by us right now, they do their own.
correct, yeah, we're on their cloud version, which is Connect. I can't speak for, Phil or some of the other police department programs.
Because we certainly would, I think, on these core services, the police department, the accounting, I mean, those are things that we want to be able to have the functionality that offers this co-location. But I don't know, but is this already done in Cassell?
And, well,
As part of the service that we have with them?
So for utility billing and our general ledger and our payroll and our account payable stuff, we and billing, business licenses, we have to use the software all the functions. But court uses, different programs, and Michelle could probably speak to, what the link is and the backup link that way, and then police have theirs as well.
So, I mean, so my question is, do these systems that we already subscribe to have other sort of the same functionality as co-location services?
Now, is all of our Cassell data, is it come to the cloud?
What about Stillman, Michelle?
My understanding is David Stern has all their backup systems, and as far as,
Does that, right?
Chorus, it's
So Spillman's already cloud-based too.
No, it's on a server, but the county put backup in the cloud.
But it's cloud-based for us.
Correct.
It's not stored on our server.
Correct. Well, it's stored on the county server, but they do have a backup.
But in order to get to it, we do it through the internet, we don't do it through a server here.
Correct.
If
So
we had,
so as far as we're concerned, it's cloud-based.
so if we had to restore it,
We're just accessing it by logging in online, not by accessing the file that's on our server.
so if the county server room got destroyed,
It's backed up by the cloud.
then it would still be up. So I guess I'm not understanding why, other than my own personal worksheets and my 3 office sheets that I'm doing here, if I was working here, what primary functioning systems do we not already have multiple backups on? Is it daily, is it, that's nothing to look into, is it?
So are you
Weekly.
speaking of the duplication of services or cloud versus, physical storage?
I'm just saying, if this room burnt, this house burnt to the ground, and we had to rebuild the city, and we want our accounting records, we want our court records and so forth, could we do it without a co-location service?
Not right now, everything, because our emails and all of our data there with.
But if we, let's say, we pick somebody and we're 3 months in and got those systems to the cloud, we don't need 2 clouds, right?
Yep, that's right.
And the court system that you use is,
it's backed up to the state.
it's backed up using Cape?
Through the
Take
Through the
core,
state.
yeah.
So other than our own, other than your emails, your day-to-day business functions, but the that data, that's already co-located out there somewhere in the cloud on a server. So restoring that is not the issue. The issue is restoring it to a physical location. Just the emails and the, I don't know.
Individual files,
Basically, the
Word and Excel files.
Yeah.
Word, Excel files and stuff like that.
What about meter read history and all of that stuff?
That's already in the cloud.
That's all through the cell, right?
That's through the cell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just, yeah, if we could, I would love to say let's go with CT, but I need him to rethink that, given that what our systems already do. And if it's Office 365 and he charges us about the additional $450 to do that backup, redundancy, then why do we need the co-location services? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, to operate a cloud system, you have to have the co-location services, because we wouldn't have our servers here, they would have to be in another location.
See, the issue is, even though we've got all these things co-located, those data is still sitting on our servers, and we've gotta have physical servers here at this particular time, because all of our stuff is there, and so what the co-location service does, it gets rid of our servers.
It's rid of the need of having it in this room.
That's correct. Because even though you've got this stuff on the cloud, the day-to-day stuff is pushed into our server. And that's what we're getting rid of, is the physical servers here. Now, who knows, in 2 or 3 years, this whole thing may be totally different. It's moving at such rapid pace that it's hard to tell.
It's just all Ken's old microfiche stuff. Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and make a motion, we accept the lowest bid on EPS. I think we've kicked this down the road, and probably we're gonna go.
Do you have a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, yes. So let's move to item number 12, consideration to adopt a resolution adopting 2019 update to the Woods Crossing General Plan. This should take us about an hour.
Are you going all the way to home, or are you going to Murray tonight?
Going to Murray.
Okay.
Right, we still think I have to step out here. You guys look like you're going about midnight, right?
It is what we're known for.
We can unlock the judge's office, he has the couch, you see.
The fridge, don't forget the fridge.
Oh, the fridge.
Sodas and the other things.
What? There.
All right, the general plan. A week ago, we had a nice work session. In fact, I thought it was a good work session with the planning commission. Some differences of philosophy and that were written into their recommendation. I think in the end, we came up with good modifications to that. So what you have is, it really affected just a couple of pages there that we sent you. I guess you've had time to kind of look through that. I don't know if you've got any further comments. Hopefully, between us and Landmark Design, we kind of hopefully caught the essence of that discussion from the other night. Again, the northwest quadrant, we still calling that as an area acceptable with the other type of development that we see going out there for multifamily. We reiterated, as mentioned above in the document, the large apartment type complexes are not envisioned for this area, but it should include a range of residential uses and types in the transition between the regional commercial and the existing residential uses. On the infill, we kind of pulled back from what the planning commission had, and talked about, that housing, that infill on these small pieces, being single family in nature, but could be small lots, with that. I think we also cleaned up some issues between the two bodies on, the area, 1100 West, that again, we don't see that as, having an infill of multifamily or small lot, but should be, done, in a way that, single family and a scale with the existing neighborhood that surrounds that area. And then over with Fifth South and, the Mills property on the north end, we, again, talk about a range of low to medium density uses. Again, referring to the pictures and the types below with the small lot and, duplexes, fourplexes, townhomes, more in scale with the neighborhoods that they're adjacent to. So hopefully that's definitely different than what the planning commission had originally recommended to you. And, with that, the staff would recommend that you consider adopting the resolution.
So I just have one concern under the Northwest Quadrant Residential Development. Is at the end of the first sentence, that effort should be made to incorporate higher density housing. Are we supposed to make an effort to include that, or should we just state that the public indicated that it's an area most acceptable for multi-family development? As mentioned above, larger apartment complexes are not in. I don't know if we need to state that we need to make an effort to incorporate higher density housing.
Actually, I think we had that discussion.
I thought we were gonna eliminate that.
Yeah, I think we didn't catch that. So how would you like it worded? Because I think you're correct.
Just take that whole
Just
phrase
take
off.
that, after the comment, just take that out to housing.
How? Oh, just out the house,
It's out
multifamily?
Yeah. So it's just a statement about the survey, and then, as mentioned above, larger apartment type complexes are not envisioned for this area.
So just a period after development?
And then eliminate that next.
And drop that, we're knocking ourselves out for higher density.
Yeah, I think that's what we discussed.
I thought we did too.
Yeah, we just didn't catch that. Good catch.
And I know Tammy and I disagreed on this, and I don't remember that everyone else chimed in. I'm even open to larger, complexes in that area. I'm not really open to them in other areas. But I would be open to it. I mean, you're gonna have commercial and some other uses over there around that intersection, and anyway. If this got written up that way, and if that's the way all of you prefer it, I'm okay with that. But I would be open to, some larger complexes in that Northwest Quadrant. And then, phase into less dense and, more of the other uses as you get closer to what's already existing.
Do we need that whole sentence, or do we do like we did above it?
Just take out.
As mentioned above, large apartment type, or out of vision for area, just get rid of that, because it says that this is for higher density. And then, let's leave it up to what the developer brings as far as.
The range of residential uses, type
Yeah.
transitions within regard to commercial residential. So we can take that sentence out.
Yeah, I could steal the sentence and say it's possible, it's not our first choice, but.
But large apartment type means something different to developers versus us.
Well, I think that's something we're going to control as we start doing the zoning here, is defining that density.
And what
And
is.
defining that density. So I think the overall, and we gotta look for, make sure that we've got the minimum where we want. So, yeah, we can have a high density on the road, or whatever, as long as the other,
Right.
but overall, if they were to put the same thing, the whole thing, then maybe it is just.
Well, somebody come in and propose
But there's some
like
higher
the
density.
metroplex over there.
Yeah,
into
phases
West
in,
End,
I mean,
phases into-
yeah. So, but that's gotta be controlled by an overall minimum on the overall density of the project that we're comfortable with.
And, and I think for the most part, probably the public input was that there is an aversion to large apartment type complexes. but I don't know that we necessarily want to rule them out in that area to an extent. You know, I don't think that's what you want to allow, in the agricultural area on 1500 South. And some, but if there was an area over there that was a larger apartment type complex, and then it gradually phased into less dense as it got closer to what's already existing, I don't know that that's necessarily.
But we don't want another Foxborough.
No, I agree.
We don't want another, you know, what there's something up there where when it's flying. I mean, and or even the Centerville,
I think,
it's too big.
I think the culture of Woods Cross is a great medium between West Banfield's 1 acre lot and Foxborough's 4,000 square foot lot.
Yeah.
And so I have no problem with the way we're right now, but I think it's like Matt, if we take the end of the first sentence and delete that second sentence, then we can control it through ordinances, and as developers come in, you know, we can work with them.
And it's not gonna be all, I guess, it's not gonna be all,
Exactly.
it's gonna be a few on the edges here, and we, I mean,
And I think you leave that last sentence, that says this area should include a range of residential uses and types.
Yeah.
And, or maybe you say could include a range of residential uses and types, because if you did have somebody that came in and wanted to put in more townhomes, maybe you expand the area that they want to do that versus having the whole thing be one great big apartment complex, right?
So did you get that done?
Well, in the last sentence, we changed from could to could.
Yeah.
Where did you change the last sentence?
In that northwest quadrant,
This
area could include.
Two, yeah.
so you get rid of you put the period after development, get rid of the rest of that sentence and the next sentence, and then in that last sentence, change should to could.
I like that. And then we'll cross that bridge when it's done.
well,
And then we craft our zoning to allow what we want and what we'll allow based on, so whatever factors we come up with.
So is everybody good with the rest of the bullet points and the descriptions under the pictures which we talked about?
That's the easy one.
The delete.
Actually, that could be a little challenging.
And the Senate Bill 34 passes, y'all got charged or feel next year and change it back.
Yeah, who knows what the legislature's gonna do to us? Yeah, and we keep an eye on it.
Well, as of right now, they're pushing for.
It's going through pretty quick, but we're gonna become a state of resolution.
Of which the legislature will then change.
Yeah, and I see the same thing happening, because we're not gonna push it back. Mill Creek, Bush, but everybody did. Cash Valley, I mean, it was just, there's gotta be a, you know. You can't say it in public.
Is that the only changes then? Everything else, everybody's good with everything else, right?
Yes.
Yes. So resolution 2019-668, right? And
You go.
Okay, Ryan, you read it?
I'm trying to earn my treat.
It's every sentence and every word.
Hurry, run into one.
So motion to approve resolution number 2019-668.
With the changes.
With the changes stated.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, Wally?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're there.
We did it. We should celebrate.
Now we need those confetti poppers, right?
No, I think when I hear adjourned, then I think.
The general plan though, this one's been a long time coming.
No, I get
It's a
it.
lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, those same consultants.
Okay.
Hire them to do something and then we just change it all.
Different than the resolution.
Well, that was the part in our, work meeting that I loved. He says,
Well, you know, I just kind of threw some stuff in there to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Really? That's what's causing all of this angst? You decided to throw a bunch of stuff in there. Okay.
Maybe we're part of a human experiment.
Yeah, run by Mark
Let's
Clapp.
see what we can do here.
Item number 13, we actually did that in 55 minutes less than I thought we would.
Oh, so we've got a bunch of time to spend on this one, that's right.
Yeah, we do.
So, proposed amendments to the land development ordinance modifying timing of subdivision phase approval.
Yeah, years ago, the council, planning commission modified it to, put a pretty strict requirement that nobody moves on to another phase until the improvements are put in the last phase, and conditionally inspected and conditionally accepted by the council. And, you know, we've been working with, Development Associates on Shamrock, and, conditions are such they can, you know, they're moving pretty rapidly down there. But they're frustrated by this requirement, and, you know, it's pretty unique to us, particularly, I even checked around, to quite a few communities, to see if they had such restrictions, and they didn't. So after further discussion with Shamrock, you know, sent this on to the planning commission, and, the commission has, recommended that we drop the harsh restriction, but not completely. They still wanted to, keep them on a short leash. And so the last sentence, in that amendment section, it says the city council shall not approve a final plat of a phase in a phase subdivision where one of two previously approved phases has not been conditionally accepted by the city council. So they can't get us all, you know, strung out over, multiple phases, you know, they might get, as far as two, but until they get one of those conditionally accepted, they're not moving on to the next.
So as I understood that then, they have to complete phase 1, even though they started phase 2 before they can start phase 3, is that correct? Or do they have to complete both phase 1 and phase 2 before they can?
You just couldn't have two open phases when they get a third one.
So I understood that right.
Right, exactly. So we've given them one extra. And, Tim's correct, they argued that no other city really needs to do this, as Tim mentioned.
Well, maybe no other city got burned like we did.
Yeah, well, this all goes back to our galley.
Right.
Tim and I lived that, and, it was ugly. But really the thing that we put in the ordinance at that time that really controlled that issue is that we basically said you cannot get, final approval and you can't move people into the subdivision until you've got certain things done. Because that's what really created this nightmare there. We had people living in there and the roads that were in, and
It was a mess.
yeah, one person in particular. Yeah.
So is this more comparable to what other cities have?
Actually, most cities didn't even have a restriction, on it. So if it's not comparable, we still have them on a leash on phasing.
How many phases, there's 50 homes in a phase, right?
Oh, it varies. Generally, they're 30 or less. Sometimes they might be a little more. Depends on the subdivision and utility timing, and, you know, whether they have to chase another direction, for sewer or stormwater sometimes, dictate their phasing, on it. But generally, what we've had over the years are, phases of 30 lots or less.
Okay. All right, and then Shamrock, can we have this one?
Not entirely, they were preferred, we were like everybody else and unleashed them all together, but.
We can't make.
Well, we're not.
We
I'm
can't make
surprised
Dave
Nate's
totally-
not here.
We can't make Dave totally happy. No, we can't. We don't want it.
You give them an inch and they take it.
You know he's watching on YouTube, right?
They probably just do.
Hey, some of these folks haven't been involved with Nate since the beginning,
That's right.
like some of us have.
Well, when back when he was just a kid learning the ropes.
Yeah.
Well, I know, I remember when he came in for his first, well, you remember before that, because you had him in meeting.
Oh, yeah.
But when he came in for his very first thing with the planning commission,
Oh, yeah.
I was there.
Well, and the funny part was Ivory was working through theirs at the same time, and you had the old master, Gary Wright,
Yeah.
on the agenda. And, you know.
Oh, there was such a difference.
Such a difference, and then maybe get up and fumble through it and that, but he's learned, he's a Jedi master.
Oh, I know that.
Oh.
He might have a lightsaber.
And Jedi, this is quite good, exciting.
So does everybody agree on the change?
Yeah.
Everybody agree with that? Okay,
Do you have to close our public
we
hearing?
haven't opened it
Oh,
yet,
you haven't.
so.
And the bed is like you have to sleep.
That's right. So we're gonna wait for Brenda up on the public hearing. So we don't have to motion.
No, you didn't.
So we're now in the public hearing. We're now out of the public hearing.
Well, you gotta give him a chance.
Oh, you have any, see, I knew he should have. So that was the fastest public hearing we've ever had, it was like 2 seconds. So 14, the ordinance number 2000, no, what's the number? 31 years. 589. So call for a motion to approve ordinance number 589.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, Matt?
Aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, consideration to approve an interlocal cooperation agreement with Davis County Pest Control.
So moved. Oh,
Animal control.
Yeah, they don't get involved with our pets,
I know, right?
right?
So this is just a resolution extending the agreement we had in 2016.
We have an increase, right?
We do this every year, and really it's basically the same. The only comment I wanna make is we've started some discussions that I think will be promising, and that is that the county is looking at, instead of charging the city, covering it through their general fund. And they would ask us to reduce our, tax levy by the amount that we're paying, which will be very, very small, $30,000. So I think that's a good move for everyone. So hopefully that will be fruitful.
And we'll continue with all of that.
So moved. What is that resolution?
Resolution
So there's not a resolution, it's just an interlocal cooperation agreement.
Didn't have a motion.
There was a resolution.
Oh, my mistake.
2019-68.
This is supposed to be a resolution.
Yeah, we should adopt it by resolution. No, I have it in there. Yeah,
Mayor.
my mistake, I didn't get it on the agenda. Okay, my mistake.
690. Okay, I'm following.
Mayor, make a motion.
Oh, six.
Can we do it without the amendment?
2019.
Well, it's on there, it's not a resolution.
I haven't put the word resolution.
Okay.
But it's a resolution in the packet.
Mayor,
Interlocal
it is in the
cooperation.
package. Can we adopt resolution 2019-69?
669.
Aye.
And second.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I finished your.
Aye. We're unanimous. So consideration to adopt a resolution
I got that one.
updating the mileage reimbursement section of the personal policy procedure. We're gonna start by the same gap that we sent us.
Yeah, can we? I mean, I'd like to have liquid gold flowing Friday.
No, anyway.
Okay, I really want to come after the guy when he says, well, we keep charging the flat fee. It's a percentage of the cost. We keep the cost, you get a fee.
That's exactly what they're doing.
So if there's an extra $600,000, you get an extra 2.5%.
Yeah, I'm like, you really think we're that, anyway, never mind.
A couple of us are accountants.
I know, I'm like, you really think we're sensitive, look at what you just said.
Well, it's for my time.
And then he made that comment about his contractors.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Well, it doesn't matter how long they're here, they don't get extra money.
Oh,
okay. Well, maybe that's how you should do it.
That's good, never mind, it's all about the
Alright. Back to.
we're on.
Quit speaking about that. Maybe more.
Yeah. Okay.
We're on 16. Would like me to, explain?
Private vehicle use, no, those are pretty steep rates, you know, our federal rates.
So we're gonna increase it from 50.5 cents per mile to 58 cents per mile.
Who do we pay mileage to?
We pay it to employees that don't have vehicles, we pay it to you folks when you go down to conferences, so if anybody that uses their private vehicle to go out. For instance, look at the triple I. Sometimes when I go down to the conference, my wife goes with me, and she wants to drive a car, so I take my car, so triple I applies to me, so I can.
Because there's
Yeah, I got my own vehicle.
city car available, but.
Yeah, so I choose to take my own, so I get the 20 cents instead of 58.
Our usage of mileage reimbursement is actually very
I was gonna say 73.
Oh, yeah, it's probably the same. Yeah, so it's.
Yeah, LeGrand gets his mileage reimbursed, Maureen gets hers for running around town.
Right.
If I go to a conference, I get mine. Michelle got hers when she went to conference, so
Yeah.
it's not.
It's not new, folks, so we can apply for our board meetings.
Mayor, make a motion to drop resolution 2019-667. Doesn't read mileage rate. I wrote it down.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
And
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Consideration to approve purchase of a dump trailer for the streets department.
Read the memo there from Scott, they surplus some equipment out for $6,000, in talking to his, public works employee, they would like to use that money to get a dump trailer, to use, for hauling debris and items. So what they're recommending is using that $6,000 and then, an additional $2,000 they have already budgeted in $740 for this. They are actually going with a higher bid of 8860 because it's equipped with a hydraulic hitch jack, that is, makes it so that it's.
And when you got a full trailer.
Yeah.
So does the city have dump trucks? Like, what's the difference between a dump trailer and using a dump truck?
A dump truck has high sides on it and is high and
You gotta get it way up in there to dump it in. And if you've got it equipped with a plow, then you're gonna, maneuvering harder, where this you could tow behind one of the pickup trucks. And it makes it easier to load because the sides are lower, and you don't have to go get one of your plows that you're, or, so all winter, if they've got their plows attached already.
Then you can drive the trailer through the park pretty easy, you don't want to take it anywhere. There's no car trails. And it is very nice when you can push a button and take it out there and
Have to shovel
everything out.
Yeah.
So the trailer does itself?
Yeah. That's the whole.
Similar to a dump truck, it's just a dump bed on a trailer that you push the button and it just sits up and dumps it out.
So I'll call for a motion to approve. Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 18, consideration to adopt a resolution providing for the waiver of facility fees for fully disabled veterans. For some reason, I thought we already were, but that was just employed, right?
Yeah, we had a waiver for anybody that was deployed during the Desert Storm and that. This is actually much more limited. This is if you've got somebody living in the city that is 100% disabled, then, we will waive their utility bill. And I've listed a number, we do have a copy of the form that comes from the veterans that lists those things, so I just listed that right in there. It's gotta show that they're 100% disabled and,
So we then hold them to be one of them.
probably, if he's 100% disabled. And the Veterans Administration provides a letter indicating that, so when
before we do it.
So, the impact on the city would be very, very minimal, but I think
But
we're
we
going
need to do it.
I think it's a good gesture, you know, with that kind of stuff.
Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt resolution 2018-671 as presented.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Confusing.
Aye.
I looked at Matt and said, well.
I knew it was a long line.
Little quick game.
Okay, unless the council has anything for the open session on the table after next time.
I do. I'm gonna be out of state in 2 weeks, so if I give you excuse.
I will be also. Molly and I are traveling together.
You're paying the gas.
Only up 20 cents per mile.
Better look at my calendar.
Maybe we're all traveling.
Where are you headed, Molly?
Arizona.
I'm headed to San Diego, so we're not close.
No.
Well, everybody else can be here, or we're gonna have a meeting.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
We'll have three, we'll have one. We'll make all hard.
I know, there you
And
go.
we'll give them all the assignment.
Got that one before, didn't you?
Yeah, you're gonna have treats.
Well, here.
Let's have a closed session.
Yeah.
We need a closed session.
And you guys make an effort to have it be a 30-minute meeting that time?
We can go right.
In
Do
2 weeks,
that.
yeah.
So anything else for the open
Thank you, Molly, for
session?
saying that you're gonna be gone and reminding me that I'll.
So that's the first
Yeah,
meeting
and
in
then
March.
everything.
No, on the 19th of February.
Yeah, the one after the president.
Oh, the next week.
Okay, and I'm just gonna thank Gary for making arrangements for those of us that could go to dinner, for those that, here's the junior state, the state dress.
Oh, okay.
That's good. And then the other thing I was gonna bring up is, this is the 150-year anniversary, right, of the promontory meeting of the rails.
Right.
And I just wanted, to see if the council wanted to do anything for that anniversary this year, since our history of the city tied to the railroad like this.
What do you think?
My problem is I'm not gonna be in the country at that time, so I won't be here.
What did you think?
I'm going to just go search out there.
In May.
In May, yeah. Anyway,
What do you think? Is it,
well, I've got a packet in Jess's office that I need to open.
It's your office, I'm just walking.
When is it in May?
May 17th, or the
It's
2nd?
the 10th,
The 10th,
it's the
okay.
May 10th, it's the day after my birthday.
can we go down there to the railroads and just pound the spike every morning?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Just pulling out.
And we'd like you to start making it, and carve our initials in it.
It'll have to be real gold.
Well, talk to the Fed.
I don't know if there's,
So does it give us some ideas in there?
Probably, just try to
We'll
create
take
a job.
some ideas. Like that.
Just try to create a job for you.
I think we're doing.
For me, it's like a party, you're a party.
Okay, I'll do it first, I will try first.
Hey, we should wait until next week to make.
What is that for, Jerry?
Hang on over there, Jessica. 150-year campaign.
Oh, good. Put one here on this side of the monitor.
Sounds like a classic, that's
Yeah.
Double fisted.
There's some buttons. A thing about an app. And, host your own celebration event.
All right.
Why did they give you that?
I make a motion that we have Julie plan
You only need one plan.
So if you wanna look at the information, come back with an
If
idea.
there's anything that you want to.
You got it, Matt? You just made a motion that you're in charge of this. Ryan, made a motion, Molly seconded, we all said
I
aye.
was actually gonna bring it up to the community, I promise, but if Julie wants to do it, she can do it.
It comes with celebratory flute.
Well, if I get to see
Motion
that.
is over there, over there.
Pro Glass, is that what you said? Pro Glass.
So I think this has a schedule of events, is that right?
The following week is lawn enforcement appreciation.
Maybe Kevin's not even on.
That's coming on there.
We can hope that we can read the numbers.
Well, I think that's because nobody's planned anything. Oh, these are already currently planned. Partner events currently planned. Wait, I don't
There's
think
one,
that
there's
is.
one you don't wanna miss as well, because the hospital should be coming around now.
Get all the kids to draw pictures of trains. And put them on the
My
wall
dad
in the
has
city.
probably 500 jigsaw puzzles of trains.
Wow.
He's a big train enthusiast, so.
Jess, did they send the train tickets for fourth graders in our box?
Maybe that's it. There's a bunch of stickers you can put on your car. This is a countdown to the 150th anniversary. I'm gonna start.
Uh-oh, they're running the battery off before they.
So when I get PDF is set.
Okay, right.
I need to ask Siri how many days it is.
Doesn't tell you that, huh?
Okay, well, we're giving that assignment to Julie.
All right.
If you need help from Julie, I promise.
Okay.
I'll put some ideas into our next meeting.
Well, we have like large format banners and sidewalk schedules that you all can grab your sidewalk chalk and paint it down.
Well, we could even invite the Davis County Celebration Orchestra to come and play. So they can play, they're coming down the mountain, right?
Yeah.
Do shot fire down on the sidewalk.
All right, who's over community from?
Rachel.
I'll look it over and see what,
Okay.
I'll go on Pinterest. Sure, there's something on there.
There's an app.
And that,
On the app.
okay, anything else for the open session? Matt?
I was not there, but I talked to him and pretty much nothing that we really need to bring up.
Yeah, with some conditional uses, and then they approved the site plan for the little Apple Plaza here next to the Apple, or, commercial office building. Yeah, building.
That's it.
Okay. Sewer district report.
Yeah.
We try to slow it a little bit. We do.
That's a whole different, regardless.
Well, Sunday would have been the Lord's Day. Super Bowl question.
On the commercial, well, when they were playing the game.
That's what they do.
I don't know.
Halftime of
Probably.
Super Bowl.
Like 30 seconds after the first half ends, so there's a marked increase.
They gave us an update on, what's going on with the plants. Not a lot new there. I think I told you the date for the, open house, which is Thursday of this week.
Yeah.
Yep, and it is from 10 to 2 on Center Street over at the South Plant. They're going to do a little tour and, have some crappy refreshments.
They ordered turkey or.
Anyway, it'll be very interesting to come and take a tour of it. This was the food waste, the waste to energy project. They're excited to show it off. They've not started accepting any waste yet. They won't until after the open house, because, it does start to generate some smell inside those buildings, and, so come see it while it's clean.
Is it a public window?
It is a public open house, yes. And, so they're excited to show it off and show the benefits and everything involved with it, so. Other than that, they're still working through some of their other stuff. If you drive along Legacy in the dark, right now, there's a real glow coming from the north plant because they've got a pilot fence set up there, growing algae, trying to see if it runs into the same toxicity problems here as it does at the south plant. They thought they kind of had it figured out, and they don't have it figured out yet, so. They've got all kinds of folks working on it, folks at universities and researchers and all kinds of folks, because they're really interested in making this be a technology that will work. All of these other sewer districts all up and down the Wasatch Front are just waiting for South Davis to continue to get arrows in their back as pioneers, so that they can make it work without the problems in their facilities, because really it will be a game changer in the safety and capital costs.
Oh, that was really bad.
Anyway, that's it for me.
You want to repeat that for the record?
Come on over and go to the open house. Eventually they'll have an open house for the Alvin project too, but once they finally get into full-scale, production for the building, it'll be probably almost a year out from that point before they'll take it that long to get the crap together. It will.
It is not even me. I know.
Do we want to talk about our meetings this week, or not?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So, mayor's report, Gary and I had a meeting this week with the Smith family, who are interested in developing their property and annexing into our city. And then, it's
Their
over
property is north of
the Kingston property, off of this south, down by Legacy.
Okay.
Yeah, how many acre days,
Yeah.
And then,
About, 20 years ago or so, 18 years ago, we had a big annexation battle
yeah,
with West Island.
Oh, is that what was, okay.
in court, and, they thought we were trying to annex and wrap around and connect to Centerville. The megaplex would have been in Mark. What they thought we were
They
trying
had
to
cut
do.
on, they had cut on to switching it to.
Yeah.
Understood.
And so after that meeting, they asked us to get together with West Bountiful, so Gary and I met with, Dwayne and Ken from West Bountiful and talked about it. So we want their development to merge into theirs, and we needed to talk about, street configuration, where we want traffic flow and all that other stuff. So we're in the process of working that out. And hopefully with them coming to the table and wanting to develop that area, that maybe we can push the Kingston, because the Kingston actually owns the property that fronts this out. Right. On that side of the road, and so it would be just a natural transition.
Over to that first, over to the first fence, right? So what kind of,
You don't want to know. Yeah. That's what they want to put. No, not the whole thing, but they want to put some high-density housing back up on the commercial retail on the front, and then medium density, and then go into single-family residential to kind of blend into West Bountiful development.
When are we doing our zoning?
Yeah. And we'll talk about that Saturday.
That's why we had to get that general plan done. We've got a lot of work to do. That's you starting tonight.
I physically have a question. You're not talking about anything that is over there by the megaplex in Centerville. Oh, that's exactly what we want to do. Okay, well. Yeah, and I don't know if I want that down there by.
Walmart, behind Walmart, the town hall, and the college.
Yeah. So we're just in the initial stage.
so with something like that, I mean, they could be annexed into West Bountiful if they wanted.
If they want it.
And so they're gonna have to come to they'll have to present what they wanna build there, and then both cities will say, yeah, we'll take it or we won't. That will make the decision on where they go.
Well,
If
the
we
point
say,
is-
no, you can't have those big apartments, they'll say, West Bountiful will let us have them.
No, they
Yeah.
West Bountiful wants 1 acre lot. That's what's zoned over there. And they wanna go with us, you know, anyway, we're in the preliminary stages.
How's that meeting with West Bountiful?
Okay. We're in a joint CDA with them on that property, and so they wanna be a part of it, and we can commingle our funds. If that's a good word to use for auditors.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, right on.
We could put our funds together to help put in the infrastructure and the roads and stuff like that. Anyway. So it was a good meeting with Wayne, and Ken, I thought, wasn't here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very promising.
Well, we agreed that what needed to be done there would be in the best interest of both cities. And design it and have it work, flow with both cities.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about the extension of Redwood Road and how that would all work. So there's a lot of things that we can do.
And they kind of have the same idea of traffic mitigation, you know, as we do in our development. We don't want a straight shot, we want to take Redwood Road and go over to Fort North. They don't want to extend that, you know, quarter-mile speedway. And so they want something more meandering and kind of slow flow. Referencing previous reference. And I think that's pretty much
There's
all I
just
have.
a surface sign around the height of the line. It's all right.
That we run the road in and out of the.
It could be a small.
Yeah, we've got designed it kind of certain things around it.
Kind of swallowing between the power poles.
Yeah. Taxable drivers. They can't text while they're driving it.
That's right.
Only allow many Coopers on.
You paid attention to those commercials, didn't you?
I don't know, I watched the movie again.
Okay. So, that's all I have to report. Gary?
Just a reminder of the strategic planning, Saturday morning, 8:00. A little early if you want some breakfast.
We're doing it here rather than down the, this is probably more convenient.
I think we'll do it here. I think.
Probably more convenient for you guys.
Yeah, it'll be more convenient for us to get it set up. So we'll plan on that. Yeah.
And then you want our top 3?
Yeah, yes, if you could,
By tomorrow.
by tomorrow. Yeah, Wally's got me his already, so.
Well, way to go, Starsky.
We just put star on the board. That's all I've got.
Okay. Okay, motion to adjourn city council meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Hi.
Okay.
We still have an RDA meeting, you're welcome.
Yeah, enjoy yourself.
We are now in our
Hold
meeting.
on,
Did
hold
you
on.
get the other
Oh,
one?
you gotta stop and start.
Ryan and Matt, all of them.
So did our,
I motion,
Okay, I don't, it was the volume.
Matt can see it.
I can see it in executive.
Goodbye, drive safe and smell, it's so smelly.
Tim, what's the density on R18?
That comes out to like 3.2. 2.6, street from that end. Something like that. It's been a long time since I thought about that number.
3.6 per.
3.6 unit per acre.
Okay, so I will call for a motion to approve the minutes of our last RDA.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay, public hearing proposed.
Let's say aye.
Oh,
Aye.
telepathically heard.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, let's see here. Okay, so Gary, do you wanna tell us about
do is in the legal services, I've increased by 10,000, and the professional services, 35,000. And those are for works on the Farm Meadows project area and then the creation of 24-25 South area. The professional services also includes a lot of Greg's time, because I've had him out, verifying these homes that we're working on. And then the last item is the, putting the money in for the 4 homes that we've done, there. In fact, today, we've, made the payment on the Lamb home, which completes them all. I've got a little bit of holding on the Gowdy's home, and, then it should be complete. We've learned a lot in this process, so the next time around, hopefully we can make it a little smoother.
Have we received any applications?
Yes, we've got, not as many as I thought, probably about, 20. I thought we'd get a lot more.
I thought that's one, I thought we got that.
Where
are we at, what we need to do for going to the Jackson and these hearings?
Oh, yeah, let me report on that. Jason and I, went and met with Commissioner Stevenson, last week, and, very positive discussion. And so what he was gonna do was, meet with the other 2 commissioners, and then, Jason and I felt that we needed to get the county's buy-in before we went to the school district. But, very positive, discussion with Commissioner Stevenson. So, I think we'll be successful there. Now, where we're at with the school district, I'm not sure, but at least we're moving with the county.
So I talked to Scott, Klein, and he said that he said, any of us are invited, give them a call, we're invited to come down, see the difference that it's made in a home, they're very happy with it. So,
I drive the carpool for Gowdy and Castleberry, and their kids are thrilled to have their business back, and, yeah, they just talked about it.
Lamb's granddaughter's not that excited though, because now the father will go back to her. Just get that to get up and go.
So I know Klein refers to it as, Jackson actually did what it's supposed to, and I heard another one they were busting with Jack or something. Where's
Castleberry's was probably the biggest challenge, and it seemed that there's something there that when they were trying to raise the house, they were pressuring the jacks to way high pressures, and they couldn't get it to move. And, something was binding it. We don't know what it was, but they got it up within, I think, within an inch. And, that's the best they could do. I don't know, it was a prefab house, so I don't know, there was some metal, stringers across it, and one of the guys told us that, and Greg and I looked at it, and now that shouldn't be ridiculous, it should all come up together. But maybe somewhere down in the ground, it was anchored or binding against something, it just wouldn't raise it. And that house was probably the lightest of all the houses. You look at Klein's house, that was heavy. That one side that they had lifted, that was heavy with all that concrete. So Castleberry should just pop right out, or something was binding it. So.
And Gowdy said that they had this, it was like county footing for a while, so they.
Yeah, well, and Lamb's house was interesting. One of the piers that they were pushing that, it just dropped out of sight.
Serious?
Yeah.
Fun.
Might come to one of our pumps in the aquifer.
Yeah. So there was,
Down the road.
there was some type of void there in that one section.
But there's a house on China.
It is interesting as you go through. It's not as simple as it looks. And these homes were so far moved that they were a challenge. Inner West, I feel, there were some issues there as we went through it with them, but, they've been pretty good with it. Hopefully, I think we've accomplished what we set out to do. And, so, we'll look forward to round 2.
Do we know used to be Gonzalez's house, is that, anyone commented on that?
They're living in it.
And they were not sold before.
They were told?
Were not.
Right, so they'd be eligible to put their name in if they fell to their house. Because they bought it under the pretense of a normal house.
Yeah, the way we set up the rules is they wouldn't be, but if they were special condition, I guess we would consider it.
So I talked to the clients about that one, just because they're their neighbor, and, I mean, when I was over there and, going through their house, and he said that, I said, you know, did anybody, I mean, what did they say when all of a sudden you guys were excavating? And he said, you know, they came, they said, what were you guys doing? He said, well, we're putting in these piers to stabilize our house, and, you know, you look at yours too, because they came in and fixed them. He said, we know that there's some issues, but we paid a lot less for our house because of it. And we went into it knowing that we might have to pay some money to stabilize it in the future. And we paid enough less that we did that. So they figured out somehow something about it and knew that, that it was discounted greatly because of that, and that they might have to, do something because of it, so.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
Right.
All right, okay, so I'm gonna open the public hearing. Now I'm gonna close the public hearing. In consideration to adopt a resolution, amending the redevelopment agency budget. We have a
Just recommending 125.
125. So I'll call for a motion to approve resolution 125.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
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 Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes, it's not.
Yes, it's not a motion.
I will motion that we adjourn immediately. It's not.
Aye.
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 We're adjourned.
Look at that, it's not even 10.
I told my wife it was gonna be a short meeting.